Så troopers, velkommen til endnu et afsnit af Notorious Scoundrels. Jeg er Evan Paul, data Mike Berry. Mike, let's see, det orden er en sign, hvordan du har det. Wow, I really screwed that up. Sorry, I said, det er en sådan, hvordan har du haft det? Det virker lidt forvirret, Mike.
Nice.
Fine, I guess we'll do it in English. Hey, welcome to the Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Evan Paul. That's Mike Berry over there. I just got back from my favorite country in Europe, which has changed since the last time we did this podcast. We'll get into why the reasons for that later. But I'm here representing. And we got a lot to talk about. We're mostly going to be talking about two tournaments that we've participated in recently. For me, it was World Team Championships. For Mike, he went to a tournament at Top Deck Games. And so
one of those is way more important than the other, I think.
Yeah, you know, but like, hey, we got games to talk about. I think that the last cast we did is that each of us only had one or two games under hashtag the new meta. And now we've had several more in a tournament setting. And so we can talk about stuff. What are we going to say?
I want to call the new meta prematurely Snipermaxxing.
Man, now I'm glad that I introduced you to the concept of looks-maxing a couple episodes ago. Snipermaxxing, I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's... One might say that from an aesthetic point of view, from maybe even a moral point of view, is that these things are not all that dissimilar from each other.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I'm into it. I'm into it.
Yeah.
We should talk about our sponsors. We have Game Toppers and we have Legion Terrain. We got some links for that stuff that you can see on the site. Also want to call out some new Patreon members, Ben Kelly and Joe Hawker. For reasons that will become clear as I talk about my travel story, my theory of sending out, I did get to give a couple of the April giveaways directly to a couple of English types who were patrons. So thank you to you two for coming up and reminding me that I could just like give them to you directly, because I did actually have those on me, unlike most of my other stuff. We'll get to that in a second. But the trip was weird, and so the shipping the stuff to Europeans got delayed. That was a big part of my plan, but now I'm back, so it will restart in earnest. The stuff will be going out in the mail as this week goes on, so you will be getting your stuff. If you are listening to this and you don't, and you joined or upgraded in April, and you don't have your address on your Patreon, then it would be lovely if you could make sure that you have that to save me some time of poking you to try to find out what your address is. So, like I said, we will be getting those out. And Mike will especially enjoy one of the direct giveaways that I did at the tournament. That was very relevant to something that Mike did at Worlds with your tickets. In terms of a certain card that you got over and over again. So yeah, we will get into all of that. But yeah, let's just get right into it. We're going to have a full episode. We'll see we have time for MC4LP. And we'll talk a tiny bit about Mandalorian stuff at the end. I think Mike and I were both, especially me, were worried that the full Mandalorian drop would happen like by the time we did this, and that all this good stuff at WTC was going to sort of become old news. But luckily we have this week. You know, maybe by next week we'll have the Mandos stuff. We will have to see. But we got some good tournament stuff. So WTC, I want to give a very brief explanation for what this is for people that don't know. This is World Team Championships. This is the third one that's happened. The first one was in Granada, Spain. The second one was in Sheffield in England. And then this one was in Copenhagen, Denmark. So it's sort of floating around. We don't know where it's going to be next year yet. But basically, most countries are allowed up to 4 teams to bring over there from whatever country. And it's 4-person teams. And the format, it's funny, on the rules of the format is like worded. I'm not making fun of you, Andy, I promise. It's worded in a way that's much more complicated than what it actually is. But it's essentially that, so you have 4 squads, and the only rule between them is that from a character point of view, there cannot be any overlap. So if Republic has Anakin, then Empire can't have Vader. Shockingly, that meant that there was not very much Anakin in the tournament, and that there was a lot more Vader in the tournament. But that also matters for like Din, or it matters
Maul.
for Bad Batch, Maul, things like that. So, there's like a little bit of overlap. Maul, not so much because of the whole mercenary thing. The other sort of funky thing for this is that at the very beginning of the tournament, you submit 5 lists for your 4 players. One of them is actually fake, and the only time that this ever matters actually is the very first round of the tournament, because at that point you don't know like what 4 among the 5 lists your opponent is going to be like actually using when it comes to the matchmaking stuff. So it basically barely matters once in the tournament for having sort of the fake list. Next year, I think it will actually matter a lot more, because that mercenary, faction is going to not only be Shadow Collective the way that it was for this tournament, because Wheelos and Weequays were not legal, but next year it's going to be Shadow Collective and Onaka Gang and Mandalorians, and so it's probably going to be a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny you bring that up, because I've been thinking about this a lot. I actually think we need like a new, I don't know. That's not really like those are like so wildly different. Like they're not even close to the same factions, right? Like,
yeah,
I feel like they should basically be different factions for the purposes of something like this, Like maybe Mando clans is one, Shadow Collective is another, and
yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Like I could see grouping Shadow Collective and Onaka Gang sort of together.
Yes, I think that might be fair.
Yeah. So yeah, good luck to the TOs to figure out the how to do that one as far as the rules go. But yeah, like again, after round 1, that doesn't matter. Like what 4 lists everybody is using, and so the way that it works is that you choose 2 lists where you are going to be choosing the matchups, and then you choose 2 lists where your opponent is going to be choosing the matchups, and then they do the same thing, which means that basically each team has in their hand like a pair from like one from your team, one from the other team, and that each one gets to do some matchup choosing. And so the general thought is that let's say you have either a list where one of their opponent's lists is like a super good matchup against them, or maybe even a super bad matchup, is that you would probably want to have those in the zone where you're choosing the matchup. Whereas if you have like sort of a generic all-comers list, so like last year I played Dooku Aqua, and that was basically a generic all-comers list. So I let my opponents choose that matchup for every single time. This year is different, and I actually was choosing my own matchup most of the time, which we'll get into how that can affect your record also.
Yeah.
But basically, if you're an all-comers list, you typically let your opponent choose it. If you're more of a skew list, then you usually want to do the choice. And so that the examples of that can be like a suppression focus list, like mine was, or an armor list, or something like RIF, where there might be certain matchups that are like extraordinarily bad for you, such as like maybe any rebel list, and then there might be other matchups that are not so good, and so that is why when you see this episode, another thing that I should mention is that there will be a couple of cool things from Fifth Trooper that'll be posted by then. One will be Ragnar's first major stats update. For what the new meta is. That will not include this because of the fact that it's a team tournament, and therefore the matchup math is not pure from a like how good is this faction standpoint.
I think just to expand upon that, I think it's really important that like these games are still like good games of Legion. It's just you're able to play like a skew list in a tournament like this,
right,
or a list that has like a severe weakness in situations that you normally wouldn't be able to, because like the meta boogeyman is gonna just like pile drive you into the ground. But in this format like this, your captain might be able to like swing it so that you never ever have to play the meta boogeyman, because that's just like how they're able to set it up, right?
Yeah, like if you have a list that was like, I can beat every faction except rebels like almost all the time, then all you have to do is have your captain choose the matchups, and they can make sure that you literally never play rebels the entire tournament. Like that is a thing that they can do.
Yeah. So it does screw with the numbers and stuff, but like
Sure.
the games are still good, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll get to the level of competition in a second, but like and then like we will show sort of the numbers from this one tournament. They interestingly actually match up with Ragnar's stuff pretty close.
Yeah.
Which is to say that there's one faction that's doing particularly well. The answer might surprise you. So yeah, like so that's the format of the tournament. And before we get into it, I want to tell a little bit of a travel story, Mike. So like I said, this was in Copenhagen, Denmark. I'd never been there before. I was very excited about that. And I made a series of mistakes.
Oh. The accountability starts with you, apparently.
Yeah, of course. Like I was the captain of my team, USA 2, I should mention, by the way. USA 1 was Izzy, Rob, Mowgli, Isaiah, and Caitlin. And then us, USA 2, we were myself, Tristan Britt, Thomas Trotman, and Jojo Banks, Joe Lamolder. And so, yeah, I was the captain of USA 2. Remember that, 2. We're going to get to that one later. And yeah, the accountability starts here, because my first mistake was that I basically had some credit card points, and I used those via the credit card travel agency to make my travel plans, because it was the cheapest way for me to do it, which meant that they got to choose like my connections on my route and my timing. And so my first mistake was allowing them to make the choices, because on the way there, I was routed through Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, France. Now, listeners of the podcast will know that I have spent a lot of time defending the nation of France, the people of France, from unrighteous assault from monsters like Brian Bear, who wanted to downplay the importance of their language and their contributions to the world. Maybe even Mike too sometimes.
Sometimes you just have to speak some freedom, man. I
don't know. So let me tell you about Charles de Gaulle Airport. Charles de Gaulle Airport is the worst airport in the entire world, and I ended up like looking while I was in the bus at Charles de Gaulle Airport for almost an hour, by the way, in an airport in a bus. I was like sort of looking up on Reddit, like, what is the worst airport in the world? There were a lot of like, it was like number one was I think like Manila because of how insanely busy it is, but then number two was like Charles de Gaulle. So this airport, it was built God knows when, and they sort of like Frankenstein several different terminals on it, and instead of bothering to come up with like a metro, like a subway system, the way that big American airports do it, having trains that go back and forth between them, or something else, is that they have one bus that does this like slow as hell circle around the entire thing, and that bus shows up like every 20 minutes. So if you land in an international terminal and you have to go through customs like right after you land, and then you have to wait in line for a bus, and then you have to hope that that bus doesn't stop in the middle of its route so that people can put maps of the bus route, of which there's only one bus that makes one route, and they like stopped it in the middle of it to put up signs. And so by the time I finally got there, I had an hour and 45 minutes to make my connection, and by the time I finally got to the gate, 2 hours had passed, which meant that I missed my connecting flight, and I moved it literally as fast as I possibly could. So after that, I had to wait an additional 7 hours at Paris Airport. I ate some very nice food there, by the way. So I will say that about Charles de Gaulle, is that the food choices were actually pretty good, and had a nice baguette. So I ended up getting into Copenhagen like late that day. I wasn't getting in the morning, so I missed a whole day of like what could have been sightseeing, which I was sad about. But then when I got to Copenhagen, I was looking at the baggage claim thing, and I was noticing that my bag was not there. Talked to the, and by the way, I did carry on my vehicles in like my little magnetic case, but that case is not like it's pretty small, and so it's not big enough for both my vehicles and all of my troopers. I had a very trooper heavy list, so the troopers were in like the soft case, and the soft case was in the luggage that was checked. So
Rookie mistake.
naturally, this is like a lesson of you probably should just like figure out a way to have all of your minis on your person rather than checking it. So I will take responsibility for that.
Ever for this reason.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I eventually figured it out, but that was a problem. But then, of course, I also had I had no clothes, I had no toiletries, and so
those are at least like solvable problems.
Yeah.
Right, like showing up with no minis is like potentially.
Yeah, not only no minis, but like my tokens, my templates, my everything that you need to actually play the game was in there. So the gate agent told me that, oh, it's no problem. There's 3 flights from Paris a day. There's even another one coming in a couple hours, like coming in the middle of the night. And they were like, we're going to get it delivered to your room. We're going to get it delivered to your hotel by 9 a.m. the next day. And so I was like, okay, well, that cuts it close to the tournament. I may have to like, luckily I started then with the APB about, can I borrow some droid minis from maybe one of the Danish players, or can I proxy them? And I thought it was only going to be for one game. And then like as time went on, I like realized these like more and more things I had to proxy. So I ended up having like this Frankensteinian mix of borrowed things from other players. The best part of which was the fact that I realized like extra late that I was like, oh, I don't have order tokens. And so shout out to John Electro Nugget, who is one of the Danish guys who's helping run the tournament. He like drew some order tokens on cardboard and basically cut them into squares, and we literally used that. I'll put up a picture of these on the site. It's great.
This makes way more sense. I was watching your last game that was streamed, and like I think your opponent was like a little confused by your order tokens.
Oh well, no, those were like my bag had gotten there by then. We'll get to that one in a second. Those are the real order tokens, but that confusion was because I didn't have 5 support tokens, and I had to use like the weird symbols for extra support stuff. So,
you didn't have enough tokens to fill a rank requirement?
We talked about this before, didn't we? So the next day started, and basically the whole day one goes on, which we'll talk about in a second. And Air France kept reassuring me like, oh, it'll get there. And I asked them what flights are going to be on. We don't know. We'll let you know when it gets there. They never let me know when it got there, by the way. It eventually got there at 10 a.m. the following day. So this was Sunday, day 2 of the tournament, was when my bag finally showed up. And so until then, I was using, again, minis that were borrowed from a very fine gentleman named Marius Solander, who is one of the Danish players. His minis are also really, really well painted, by the way, and so people kept complimenting me on like my well painted minis, and I was immediately like, "They're not mine." Like if you look at this Grievous and these spider droids that are much less well painted, like those are the ones that I actually did. So you can see there might be a difference between them in quality, but. Not only did he deliver the minis, but Isaiah, because he's a little jerk, and he saw this back and forth about like how am I gonna like borrow minis for this tournament, is that Isaiah was like, hey, when you bring him these borrowed minis, can you bring it with a note that says courtesy of Air France along with a croissant? And they literally did that. So I'll show a picture. I'll show a picture on the YouTube where
Isaiah, my man.
Yeah. Isaiah, he's like a champion troll, which is why he's going to deserve everything that he's going to get later on the podcast. He really, overall, like, I ended up borrowing a lot of dice from Joe. I borrowed tokens and from my first round opponent, Dan, and I believe I borrowed a couple things from my second round opponent, Rune. So I just like want to make sure I shout out everybody. I was literally only able to participate in this tournament because of the kindness of what were mostly Legion strangers to little old me. So super duper appreciate that. But all of this is to say that the reason why I have this get up mic is because Denmark is now the official favored Euro of the notorious Scoundrels. France, unfortunately, is kicked all the way down to the bottom thanks to the obviously the French Legion players. I have nothing against them, and they had nothing to do with this situation, but they are associated with Charles de Gaulle Airport and Air France, and therefore they get guilt by association. And I'm going to be trying to speak a little bit more Danish than French in this podcast for the foreseeable future.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. And so I want to give a shout out to also Anders Malmby, who's the captain of Denmark 1, who sort of helped get stuff together, as well as the gaming club that they have there. Do you know they do gaming clubs in Europe, Mike?
I do. I actually am very envious of how they do it because I hate feeling beholden to the capitalist society in which we live in order to play games.
Oh, man, we're getting deep already in this podcast. We're talking economic systems.
Yeah. I think their system's a lot better. Personally. Yeah.
Yeah. So wanted to give a shout out to Emperor. It's the Emperor's Pride Wargaming Club. I mean, first of all, this is like cool to just like call it a wargaming club. But yeah, they have 50 to 60 members and of the club in total, and that's a variety of different games. It's like about 12 to 14 Star Wars Legion players. And so like Denmark, like Germany, is that they divided their teams sort of by region. So that's the Denmark 1 team and a couple of the Denmark 5 teams were the ones that are actually in Copenhagen. So they I just wanted to give a shout out to them. Anders also wanted me to let you know that the Jedi General is not so bad, and that it's possible to go 5-1 with it. What do you think about that, Mike?
I mean, I think he's not so bad when you consider the other choices you have.
Anders, I promise that's the best you're ever going to get out of him. So,
I mean, I've actually started building lists with the Jedi General because all the other ones suck.
All right, so I'm just now showing Mike a picture of the minis with the bow and the croissant, the courtesy of Air France. So, like, honestly, I'll just say I was feeling really in the dumps about this entire situation because, like, not only was I having to sort of scramble things together, but I knew that as soon as day one ended that I would have to blitz out of there to try to find a souvenir shop that was open so that I could like buy some clothes to wear the next day.
Sure.
I was borrowing a shirt from Rob because we have the same shirt size. And like I rented a bike, which I normally wouldn't have had to do, but I literally rented a bike that morning. So I mean, I got to bike around Copenhagen, which was cool, but that what allowed me to sort of like race to this souvenir shop before they closed at 9 p.m. to like buy a bunch of Denmark stuff, which Air France paid for, by the way. Thank you very much, Air France. So all this swag.
Mean, in fairness, it's the least they could have done.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. I say that like everybody getting together really sort of rescued me mentally from having a bad start to this tournament.
Oh, I would have been deep in a Menti B at that point.
Yeah. And like, it might have showed a little bit in terms of how day one went, just like generally. So let's get started in talking about stuff. So I'll talk first about the list that we ran. Thomas and Tristan, they both had high activation Rebel and Empire lists. So I will be showing those up on the screen right now. With both of them, I was basically like, let's make sure we have Thrawn in Thomas's list for sure, and probably 3 strike teams. And then in Tristan's list, I was like, let's make sure that we get Hantan for sure. Tristan went a little bit off the beaten path. He did not do Cassian fleets, but he did have 2 strike teams and 2 ATRT flamethrowers, and then he had Luke Ton on top of a comms jammer Stims Hanton, which I don't know, Mike. Like, we'll talk about what the upgrade choices are on Hanton later, but there's sort of like a bevy of choices that you can do. But
yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised with, like, don't get me wrong, I think Luke Tauntaun was pretty good on paper.
He's really good.
Like, much more surprised with how good he actually is, like, in game.
A relentless ram saber throw is like, even on its own, is a nice combination, right?
Yeah, man, it turns out when your lightsaber users can move like speed 3 or speed 4 every time.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, and that, if your opponent overextends in round 1, he can even sort of like get a saber throw in there at the end of that.
Yeah.
And then Son of Skywalker and all that other stuff. But yeah, he's good.
And foundationally also cheap.
Yeah, exactly. They're very aggressively costed. I think we might talk about that later. Joe's list was a 12 activation Yoda with 2 barks, 2 strike teams, 2 full arcs with medics, and he had 2 shotguns and 2 mortar marksmen, along with 1 commando. So it was sort of a potpourri style Republic list, like a little bit of everything, and a
little bit of everything that like actually can fit in a list that is 12 or more activations.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so Joe, we'll get to him later, but there was a running theme amongst conversations I had with Republican players.
Republican players?
Republican players. Yeah, I don't know why I said that just now. With Republic players, I don't think most of them were Republicans. Anywho, there was a conversation theme with the Republic players that I think we will get to towards the end. But then there was my list. Mike, I did not get any practice with this list. Sorry, I got 1 practice game in that ended early because I made a major screw up, and I was like, okay, well, I guess that game's over. And so I did not feel amazing going into the tournament with this list.
Looked like towards the end of the tournament you were still practicing.
Yes, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Although that had nothing to do with that list in particular. It's more to do with my general knowledge of Star Wars Legion. But I ran, so of course, wheeled by Grievous, but I went through multiple iterations. I tried RIF, like I had said before. And even though I had won those games, I think I said before, I just didn't feel good about the way that I won them. It was like barely scraping ahead with an army that was mostly dead, and it just didn't feel like it was a way to win. Yeah. Just like I wasn't, they weren't convincing wins. And so I ended up going with something that was different where, because of the fact that A, you can have sort of the skew thing, like we mentioned earlier, and B, that I thought the tables were going to be relatively non-open given everything that gets said about European tables. Get to that in a little bit.
Yeah. I think we have a lot to discuss.
Is that I thought that a melee-focused suppression list would do pretty well. And so I have Wheeled by Grievous. I have 2 slice comms, direct AI super tax with Electra Staff, 3 naked B1s, 2 full BXs. One is an Asajj BX with Vibros, and the other is a Saboteur BX with Vibros. And then 2 Flamer Spiders with defense, because you should definitely be running defense in your Flamer Spiders now. There's basically no downside to doing that. It's even as cheap as Engagement Protocols is now.
They're silly. They're silly.
Yeah, they're very good. They again, it was like I said last time, is that they and snails and crabs a little bit got sort of a secret buff with this latest rule change, by their stuff getting cheaper and AI, and like they're never broken now.
Their
in the
drawback being completely taken away.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
There was one time I had to use override to not AI dodge, and I was like, oh, this is tough. But usually they just had to face man. Up. Yeah, I know. Oh god, this is hard. And then the last thing was that I knew that I wanted a Kraken or Kalani because I wanted reinforcements. Because like that's actually super duper important for this list in particular, to be able to get the spiders into a range to where they can threaten something like a Cassian fleets is maybe the base example, but any sort of like big squad or super squad to be able to threaten the move shoot after having done either a full double move or a like 1.5 double move to start the game with, to sort of get into the prime position, and then after speed 1 move, it depends on activation counts and various other things, but you can be in a position to where like your opponent would basically be sacrificing like the first big squad that they send in there, and that you're going to have better order control than them typically. So reinforcement's super important. And then I also, this list is weak on 2-pips, so having preservation protocols as the other 2-pip is very nice to have. And so I knew I wanted either Kraken or Kalani, but my thought was that because of the matchup situation, the table situation, that I would actually do the off-meta choice and go with Kraken, because he has charge, and this was not a list where I was going to be sitting back and generating aim tokens. Like, it was going to have to just like sort of get into it. But it was also very important to be able to have that exemplar dodge for the spiders to be able to use.
Yeah.
And so I went with Kraken, and maybe we'll talk about it at the end, but he was like pretty good. So that was our team, and I'm gonna go through these games. I'm gonna try to keep it brief, which is to say that I'm gonna, for all these 6 of these games, I want to say this is why I won or this is why I lost, so that we can try to have some take home lessons, because we're that kind of podcast, Mike, is that we try to be edutaining, and we're
edutaining.
This is small letters edu, and then maybe big letters taining, depending on what your opinion is. At least when I'm the one talking about this. Again, we'll get to what Mike is referring to at
okay. So
at
edutaining, no G.
Yeah, no, sorry. You are edutaining with a G.
Okay.
That's your vibe,
Right,
and I'm
right.
small edu.
I just wanted to clarify because I feel like those 2 things are like potentially very different.
Oh man, I like that. Yeah, Mike Berry, he's edutaining. Edutaining. So our first matchup was against Sweden 1, and I played against Dan Kling, who again helped loan some stuff to me, so very much appreciated, Dan. He had a Republic 212 list, and the reason why I lost this game, it was 9-9, but the kill point difference was he killed 588 points of my guys, and I killed 151 of his guys. I lost this game because I made poor choices on dividing my army on breakthrough. Sure. Whereas because he had two sabers and an ISP, is that he did 1 saber on each side, and he saved his ISP to see what my weak side was going to be, because then his ISP became his diver. Which was a really, really smart way to do it, because like on my weak side, I was going to have a lot of trouble killing it. I was going to have a lot of trouble killing armor in general with this list if Grievous was not there. And Grievous was on that side, but he had to dive like my opponent's backside, which meant that the ISP could just sort of skirt around and hang out on my point. And I had breakthrough in my deck, so this is my fault. But ultimately, I realized that 212 actually surprisingly good on breakthrough.
Well, I think the nice thing about having multiple saber tanks is that like when you put 1 on each side, the weak side probably has to dedicate more than the saber tank's actually worth to kill it.
Exactly.
Probably.
Yes.
Which is kind of an issue on breakthrough. I also think your list generally, your old list is much better at breakthrough than the new list.
Oh yeah.
Like not close.
If I could do it over again, I would actually take breakthrough out of my battle deck, and I would replace it with, I don't know, it might be, it would have to be maybe even bunker assault.
I feel like you could pretty much replace it with most things, and it would probably
with most. It actually might be Cauldron based on that final game, because that actually was going pretty well. So yeah, I had a bad breakthrough strategy. My opponent had a better one. His list was built better for it, and so basically, like I was doing pretty well on my strong side, but it was more of a draw on that side, and then I mega lost on the weak side. So that's how that went. second game was against we were playing against Denmark 4, and we lost that one in general, by the way. So that was like an 0-1 start for us. Go figure is that. So I went 4-2. My team went 4-2. As we're following along, on any round where I lost, our team lost, and on any round where I won, our team won. All right, so round 2, we were up against Denmark 4, and so I was playing against Rune Jensen, and he had a rebel list. In this one, Wicket made an appearance, Mike, and
Nice.
yeah, I was a little bit surprised, and it reminded me about how Wicket got cheaper and how Wookiee Chieftain is still 100 points, but whatever. So it was Wicket, and then both Han and Luke Tauntauns.
Really?
And yeah, I know, shocking. And then this one also did not have Cassian, which I think was a part of why I was able to do well, because there weren't a ton of things that threatened Grievous, who did live till the end of this one. But instead he had CMOs and Mark IIs, and then he had 3 commandos, one of which was a Jyn Erso commando, and then 3 strike teams. And so this one was on shifting and supply drop, and that is the very quote unquote fun combination to where if you are ever going to score on supply drop, then it can only happen. There's 3 scenarios where that can happen, basically, because again, at the end of shifting, you move the POI, which means that anybody who was sitting on the POI will no longer be sitting on it anymore, assuming that your opponent moves it in the right place. So either A, your opponent doesn't move it to the right place, which basically doesn't happen very often, or B, you tie, which means that it doesn't move anywhere, and therefore your guys are allowed to score at the start of the next round, or C, you have some kind of a trick, such as guidance or overclock or whatever, that can get your guys into scoring position. I did not have overclock on my list, so I was concerned, but at the same time, his only trick as far as that went was the 2-pip Tauntaun command to do the speed 1 move at the start of activation phase.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't have a ton of tricks for that either. And to make a long story short, even though this game from a fighting point of view was kind of equal in terms of how things went, is that Rune ended up losing this because he realized too late that by tying up an objective with a Han kill of a B1, is he allowed the other B1 to score a 2-point supply drop at the start of round 4. And that's what sort of sealed it. And he tried to recover from that, but that ended up being sort of the big thing. So on supply drop,
because you tied it instead of him being able to move it.
Exactly,
you won it.
Because he killed the B1, which allowed us to tie. And granted, that did take away a VP that round, but it allowed me to score 2 VPs in the following round by scoring the supply drop, and it allowed me to have a more conservative strategy by the end of that round in terms of the rest of the stuff that I did with my army. So yeah, most of his units were on my weak side, which I mostly kind of ran away from. And so that one turned out better than the first game, and we won that one. So we were 1-1. And then round 3 was against Switzerland 2, I believe it was. And so Switzerland 2, we actually had played them last year, and I played my games against I think it's David. It might be David Rookstool. We had played actually last year when last year I remember telling about this briefly, where he was playing an Opluke list and I was running the Dooku Aquas, and this was the game where I doubled the fall on his Son of Skywalker turn, and then I shot him with a bunch of B1s and just killed him before he got to activate. So David was he was looking for some revenge, and he was playing Rebels with Han Solo and a bunch of activations. This one did have Cassian fleets, and this was one of the many rounds where the table was wide open, very, 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 very wide open. No places to hide, and this game I lost because I think he had a better list than me, and he literally didn't make any mistakes. The most important thing that he did that I want to call out is that he used Han in what I think is the best way to use Han, which was that he waited, like he deployed him in a way to where he could potentially take advantage of me having a guy that was off center. And he used the terrain in a way that I didn't see would have been possible, but that it totally was legal to basically like get the tauntaun through this archway that allowed him to just like go in there and eat a strike team at the end of round one, which sort of set things going off in the wrong direction. And then after that, he ate a spider droid with Han, and then Han just sort of like dominated basically my weak side of the table. And I didn't have enough stuff on my strong side. I also was too conservative with Grievous in that game, which was not usually, it's usually the opposite of the mistake that I make with Grievous. But I sent my Grievous after like a couple of his strike teams on the edge when I probably should have sent him directly for the center in an effort to recover, like via distraction and doing a sort of a suicide bombing run, which is how I ended up winning my last game. Yeah, so I lost that one, and so we ended day one at 1 and 2. I go out and I buy all these clothes, and I was like, this is going to make for a sad podcast when I come back and talk about this. And, you know, obviously, you know, it wasn't just me, but that there were other folks in the team where, you know, it's very possible that I wasn't setting up the perfect matchups for them. And so, yeah, we ended up 1 and 2, and I was like, okay, we're going to have to try and do better the next day.
Reset.
Day 2 starts. First of all, I get the good news that the bag is in Copenhagen and that it was put on a truck, which was going to get there at the end of round 1. So I at least knew that it was headed that way. And lo and behold, at the start of round 1, we were paired up against Denmark 1. Denmark 1 was, as you might remember, the team that had the gentleman Marius who loaned me his minis.
Yeah.
And he was playing the rebel list, and he had a couple of flamethrowers in his list. It was me and Tristan. Tristan's list has more flamethrower bait than mine does.
Sure.
And so I was like, fine, I'll play against rebels again, against Han for the 3rd time out of 4 rounds in this tournament. Again, and I took the matchup, and it was also like sort of too good to pass up about the idea of playing a game against a guy with his own minis.
Sure.
And so his list is that he stuck to a generic commander, and he basically had Din as a second operative, and then of course he had Cassian fleets, and he had like a Jin unit and bunch of strike teams and commandos. A lot of these rebel lists are looking pretty similar to each other at this point.
I mean, they're pretty similar, but they also like, are like, yeah, I get to take this and I get to take that, and like,
yeah,
it sort of doesn't matter. It's like whatever, right?
Yeah,
you know,
it's good to be a rebel player.
There's a lot of, you know, you might be making some really awesome pasta at a 5-star restaurant, but it turns out you can, you know, the sauce can be a little different. You know, you can put a different meat in there, or different cheese, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's still really good.
Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, like he had a 152 plus Grogu. It's like he had a very expensive Din plus Grogu. So I think that in total it was 169 as a unit. And he moved. So this is really the reason why he lost that game, is that Din moved up aggressively, and he moved up an RT ahead of Din in order to basically sort of block him off. But there was this funky, I think I have a picture of this that I'll put up, is that it was like an Endor list. And so the centerpiece of the table was like a couple of sort of tree tower things that were linked together by a big bridge.
Sure.
But the tree itself was pretty narrow, and it had a walkway around the tree that meant that the ATRT, it couldn't actually be totally flush. And so there was a gap. And you know, it was definitely there, and it was something that I noticed immediately, and that I think obviously he noticed it a little bit too late. But I was like, okay, well, I am going to be able to take 3 shots against Din, actually 4 against Din with this list. I just needed to sort of, I waited until the last possible moment because I wanted his other RT to be deployed so that he couldn't like close up the gap with the other RT.
Sure. Yeah.
But basically I got to shoot a din with, it was Decas, and so he was really far up there, as you can tell, because Decas were able to shoot a din.
Yep.
But it was Decas, both my BXs, and Grievous were all able to shoot at him, and so Din died at the end of round 1. And that obviously like set off a attrition problem for him.
When you start the game down, points, you know.
And so Han did get in there and cause some trouble, but Han left my Sab BX, which was my which had picked up Asajj's hostage after she died. My single remaining guy in the Sab BX squad was able to live until the end of round 2, and so he was able to actually like score on hostage, and the game just sort of snowballed after that. This was one where this was the only one where I scored like more than 12, like significantly more than 12 points, because we ended round 4 with me at 11 VPs on payload. So it's payload hostage. But the other thing that had happened was that Marius was down to 1 model and 1 sniper strike team. And so the thing that happened, which was sort of, do I feel bad about it? Yes, I do, actually. But we were both like, this does make for a good story, is that I tabled a guy with his own minis, Mike. How should I feel about that?
I mean, that's like achievement unlocked territory, dude. Like, I don't know. I feel like, seems
he
like
got. I gave him a couple of stuff from the TFT prize bank for being a nice guy, for loaning me these minis in the first place. And one of the things I gave him, Mike, was a foil "I'll see you in hell" command card, which was a favorite choice of yours with your Adepticon points.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is why that game went down the way it did. And then I had we were playing against France 2, where I had my second rematch of the day, which was this time it was against somebody I lost to last year. There's a gentleman named Regis, who's one of the French players. And I'm going to show a couple of his models. Mike can't see this yet, but he had sort of it was like a Mad Max-ish looking droid list.
Nice.
Where everything was just like sort of run down and beaten up, down to the fact that his General Grievous model, like the on-foot version, which he used as part of a Magna squad, he had like flaming, melty, rusty swords instead of lightsabers. So it looked kind of badass. But like basically this was another one where we chose the matchup and nobody wanted to play against Regis, because he had a Dooku double flamer spider, a bunch of Geos, and then Asajj on her own with a Sab BX and a Grievous Magna. So nobody wanted to play against that. It was like a pretty scary looking list. And this was France 4, by the way, not France 2. I apologize for that. But this was, what was this scenario? It was close the pocket. And so it ended up being a big old pile up in the middle, and it was also failed negotiations.
Nice.
This game was also won because of a gap in the terrain. This time it was his Asajj, to where she landed in a place where some BXs were able to, it was his full BX list got killed at the end of round 1 because there was like a gap in the terrain that I could see them through. And so then round 2, this terrain, luckily it had that gap that I could shoot through, but then also luckily it was slightly shorter than Mr. General Grievous on the wheel bike, which meant that he did play FSI so that he had priority. But he used that to move in with a flamer to finish off my Asajj BX squad, which was a smart thing to do because she was about to charge her Asajj, or Regis Asajj rather, like his main unit. And so that was like a good first play. Oh God, did it do it again?
It did. It was great.
God, I hate this thing. All right, there we go. I need to figure out how to like not do the finger motion that sets off my camera. I think it's like, so if I do this.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
That's totally what it is. So maybe I should do the opposite, is that I should learn how to do that with more regularity, so that I can have like the dramatic zoom.
You can cue it up.
Need to. Exactly.
Cue it up.
Oh boy. Anyway, so he came and killed my Asajj, and then I still had the full Sab BX, so they charged his Asajj with the next action, and they do 4 wounds and a poison token to her. Which I was like, man, could you have gotten one more?
I mean, that's fine
good
enough.
Though, still. Yeah,
she's still dead.
She woke up and killed them and then died.
Nice.
So if you're keeping track, I've lost 2 BXs. He's lost 1 BX and Asajj, and we're like 3 activations into round 2. So this is a very bloody game of Star Wars Legion. But then Grievous, he went in, he did his thing, and he basically got to really gum up his Grievous Magna, because he Guardianed twice. Like, I shot Dooku, and then I Jedi Arts Dooku. He Guardianed off of both of those. Then I Jedi Arts Grievous.
Did he take his suppression tokens?
He did.
Okay.
He actually wasn't aware of the rules change until I told him. I gave him the bad news about, hey, your General Grievous Magna is to start taking suppression tokens, and he has to take
not
even
that they
more.
Care, but...
Yeah. Well, and that was another thing, is that Regis was like, well, I didn't roll off any suppression, so I only get 1 action, right? I was like, nope, you never sacrifice actions now. Or, I mean, I guess that's the way it always was. But if you don't have AI and you're a droid trooper, like, that's the thing to remember, is that you never have to actually pay any cost for anything. So, yeah, droids are still okay. But the long story short is that game went on, and I was able to win Close the Pocket primarily because my flamers were able to start just like murdering his geos squad by squad. And also, for anybody that was left over, I could just demoralize and slice comms with my super attacks and cause some trouble, and just sort of pulled ahead on Close the Pocket and Hostage. So and then so now our team was 3-2. So we were making a hell of a comeback. We started the game at ranked number 24 out of 36. And I forget where we were at that point. We were like 10 or 11, something like that. And by now, my bag, like, I had zoomed over to my hotel to get my bag during a lunch break, zoomed back. We got our sweet team shirts, which you'll see a picture of on here. It's like a tie-dyed USA flag screaming eagle thing. I went full ridiculousness for the USA shirts, but it paid off. I think the shirts sort of empowered us for us to play our final round, which this one is on Kokazula, his YouTube page. Shout out to him, by the way, for streaming this whole thing and for recording all these. Like, he had approached me when I was like very down in the dumps on day 1, and he was like, I'm going to get you on the stream table. And I was like, I really don't want to be on the stream table. I'm going to have somebody else's minis. I'm going to be probably still miserable. But even though this was not obviously like the defining game for the winner, but he had just decided that he needed to have me on the stream table. So he decided that I was going to do that. So you can go ahead and watch this game and all of the follies that happened therein. So we were paired up against Germany 3, and this was the one time where I was like a little bit selfish, where I had a choice between playing against Rebels again or playing against Empire, and I was like, I'm tired of Rebels. I just want to play against Empire, so I basically made Tristan play against the other Rebel list. So yeah, my opponent was Lucas on Germany 3, and this was it ended up being Cauldron and Surface Scan. His list is a very high activation Thrawn Empire dewback list.
High activation?
Yeah,
what?
High activation, wow. And his second courage bubble was Callus with the courage sharing thing, Inspiring Presence, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
So basically we deployed, we both basically picked the same strong side and the same weak side. And we started to like, the beginning of the game was pretty boring. There was like a tiny bit of sniping and posturing, blah, blah, blah. But then my I made the first of two pretty severe mistakes. And I knew Mike would be watching. This exact same thing has happened before. Mike was there. Mike, how would you describe the choice that I made with my Asajj BX squad in that game?
I mean, look, I have seen many new players take their units that can scout 3 and shove them behind an LOS blocker that's like, range 2 up the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. You fell into the trap, you fell into the greed trap, which is like, it is early on turn 1, early-ish, I would say.
It was 2/3 of the way through.
That's still very early.
I know
it's
this,
early,
right? Yeah.
If it's not the last activation or like the second to last activation, you really just like can almost never make an aggressive move like that. There are some marked exceptions. This was not one of them.
I thought it was safe. It was safe from one side, but then it wasn't safe from the other side. Is basically what it was.
I think if it had been a different terrain piece, I think there was a terrain piece like back to the left of that one, and if those two terrain pieces had been swapped, I would have felt a lot better about what you did. I think.
I was addicted to the idea of like, because full BX has jump 1, that it was a terrain piece where that she could have had the play to where his dewback charges in and I could countercharge with Asajj, like as like a late round 2 play.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I could have done that. I could have done that from behind the spider, to where maybe like one Asajj mini, if he dived out really deep, would have been visible. And that would have been a much smarter thing to do.
But losing one mini in that squad as opposed to the whole squad is a big difference.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So he had a Black Ops infiltrating HH12 stormtrooper that shot the crap out of her. And didn't, because it was infiltrating, didn't even have to take the hashtag uncumbersome dice degradation.
Yeah.
So
it was a good play.
Yeah. I mean, he appropriately counterplayed my bad play. And then the second mistake I made that round was that you can see me on the stream like measuring this like 10 times and me being super convinced that if Grievous was gonna, with my elastivation, that Grievous was gonna do a double move like from coming out of my side of the board in order to be able to shoot that HH12 squad, that I would be safe from his fifth brother Riot Control Squad, which again, I did take into account that it can go speed 3 twice.
Yeah.
But like when I measured it out, I was like, okay, I'm going to be safe. And then he puts the template down, and I was like, oh god, I'm not safe. And this begins the first of a couple rules mistakes that we both made. To where, so he charges Grievous with fifth brother, and I think like this is extra my fault because he was like, I don't get the bonus because I'm not engaged, right? And I was like, well, you're still in melee, so you would still get the surge to whatever bonus. But
actually, Mike ripping his hair out.
Mike is over. Mike is watching the stream, going, "Evan, oh my god, you're an idiot, and you're like screwing yourself over." So I basically, Grievous got hit with a couple extra hits that he didn't necessarily need to take.
It was 3 or 4. It was definitely 3.
It was significant.
I was counting because I was like, this is probably going to matter a lot.
Yeah. So he ended up taking 4 wounds, which is like not super terrible. Luckily, he didn't take 4 wounds when he got to do it all over again. But that put me in a not great position. So I had a dead Asajj and a half dead Grievous by the start of round 2. To make sure everybody is aware is that the Riot Control Squad, they need to be engaged, and this is the one time where being engaged rather than being in melee is the thing that matters.
I'm sure
there are 2 different words that mean 2 different things.
There are probably other cases too, but this is the main
maybe
one
the most important one. Yeah, exactly.
The only reason I know it is because I've been playing a lot of Riot Control lately.
Sure. Therefore, what that means is that you're never going to be, have that bonus against is it against any vehicle, or is it just against a vehicle that has no melee weapon? I think it's any vehicle,
It's
right?
just any vehicle. There are like certain, so it's not always. So let's imagine for a second that you are a riot control squad that is engaged with another trooper squad.
Oh, right.
And also in base contact
in
with a
melee
vehicle.
with another vehicle.
You
then you would be able to use
surge
it.
to hit.
Yeah. That's,
right.
Okay. Yeah. Which can happen if like an ATRT charges into you to flame you or something.
Or like kick you or something, right? Yeah. Like it definitely, it's not always against every vehicle, but if you are only touching a vehicle,
then you're not engaged.
Then you are not engaged.
Because you can only be engaged with another trooper unit.
Right. And therefore you are not holding the line.
Exactly.
Right.
So long story short, obviously my only play the next round, even though I knew he was going to cunning one pip, which meant he was going to get a chance to hit me first. But my only play was that I needed a sick Jedi Arts in order to try and rescue this game from doom.
You did need a sick Jedi Arts.
Yeah. And so he labeled he smartly labeled my flamer with the you have to, if you're not first, you're last thing, which was a smart thing to do, because it meant that he was not going to be able to get his dodge until last round.
So I am curious about how you feel about this now, because I feel like we've talked about this card a couple times, and you're like, I don't know if if that text is like good or bad. Like, how do you feel about it? And like, this is the situation where I do think it's very good.
Yeah, I think that I was focused on the idea that like on a turn like Jedi Arts, like they're always going to go first anyway.
Sure.
But the thing that I didn't think about is that there's other face ups.
There's like units you want to go like second or third, like really badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that was a situation where that was used well, and I feel like that card is maybe stronger than I first gave it credit for. On top of the fact that it's a cunning one pip, which is like good enough on its own.
Right. It's
pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, he doesn't kill Grievous. Grievous goes in there. I think I make the right call by not overrunning I go over the Fifth Brother squad, but I don't do the overrun attack on them. Instead, I do it on the HH-12 Stormtroopers to finish them off, because I did get to shoot at them once with my other BX squad. And so that way it took away an activation, because like I was never going to do enough damage to his Fifth Brother squad to take that one away. And then instead of taking a shot,
dodge token though.
It did. Instead of taking a shot, I did a triple move so that my Jedi Arts could get as many guys as possible, including both of his full naked scouts and then one of his strike teams. And so through all that, I did. So I killed the HHL squad completely with the overrun attack, and then Jedi Arts killed off his strike team just like right off the bat. And then, put two suppression on everybody else, including, very importantly, one of his dewbacks. And it sort of gummed up the works for his backline that round, which was the thing that allowed me to eventually win. I won't go over the whole game because it was recorded on stream. We were both playing very carefully, and there's also the fact that getting the stream table set up took an extra long time, and so time was called close to the end of round 3, and so we only got 3 rounds in. But I think the outcome would have been the same. It ended up being 10-6. 10 points is still a lot at the end of 3 rounds, and the reason why that was able to happen was, again, because of slice comms. Through the Deca and through his spurring, there was a lot of suppression built up on the dewbacks. And so here's another thing we both screwed up, is that we both took suppression tokens away from our own guys on Cauldron, which is not a thing that we should have done.
Nope.
So that was an embarrassing one, and something else that Mike was yelling at us about.
We literally recorded the Cauldron.
Yeah, we
mini,
recorded the TFT mini
5 days prior.
In my defense,
maybe.
Before we did that TFT mini, I was like, I haven't gotten the chance to play Cauldron yet.
You did say that, yeah.
But Mike was like, I've played it a bunch of times, so I was like, okay, we're just gonna let you run the show. Yeah. So this was my very, very first Cauldron game, and that's my excuse for it. It was his card.
It is a weird objective, and it is hard to kind of.
It's hard to remember.
You have to be very proactive and being like, okay, we're not removing suppression.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. The long story short is that he was able to rally his dewback to the point that it wasn't panicking anymore. he had dropped the box on round 2, but I wasn't able to score it that round. Like I wasn't able to do the counter score. But so he picked it back up with that dewback, but that dewback was engaged. Now, in most situations, that means the dewback is safe, right? It's got 5 suppression tokens, but I can't shoot at him because he's engaged with an activated B1 unit.
Whatever shall you do?
Well, all you got to do is like demoralize 1 would have been enough, but I had demoralize 1 and slice comms. So
even if you rallied well.
Yeah. So yeah, like basically when that happened, I was like, okay, well, I know that this is the game-winning play that I needed to rescue myself from a bad attrition start to the game. Was just to get the 3-point swing of denying his surface scan while scoring mine and also counter scoring his. Yeah. I guess it's a 4-point swing technically because you're denying him 1 point and you're still scoring your own 1 point. And you're scoring an additional 2 points from his scanner. And so
it's almost like you were up by 4 for some reason.
Yeah, and so that's why I was up by 4. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Go figure. And so that was the thing that ended up pulling it out. And that was sort of one of the good choices I made with this list was that on surface scan, I was like, okay, my play is that I put both of my scanners on my super task because they have natural courage 3. And therefore that takes away the issue of Kraken being a courage 2 commander, which is normally sort of a limiting thing. And so like that basically when you're doing that, you're just hoping that your opponent doesn't have slice comms and they're going to be in melee most of the time. It's pretty hard to get the scanner off of them. You have to like kill them. So it's not super easy.
The age-old debate. Take 15. Overclock or slice comms, Evan?
I am now on Team Slice comms.
Yeah, right.
I think that that swung because of Battle Card Pack 2.
That's fair. It's much more spread out, I think.
Yeah,
and like there's panicking actually can just like lose you the game in a lot of scenarios.
Well, this was the first list that I played so far in New Legion to where it was the secondary deck that felt like it was the abusive thing rather than the primary deck. Like my primary deck was basically like close the pocket, breakthrough, and payload. Or no, it wasn't payload. It was intercept. So it was basically like melee-ish things, and that was my only thought as far as primaries went. But for secondaries, I was like, I'm going to pick the ones where I can make you drop your stuff.
Yep.
And I think that a lot of players are still not taking that into account enough in terms of secondary choice. Is that if you have a list that has a lot of demoralize, this list has 3 sources of demoralize 1, and it has 2 slice comms, and it has decas. So it can hand out the suppression tokens.
This droid just comes around the corner, points at you, and you're like, ah, and you drop
exactly.
your thing.
Yeah, no, literally, like you can have a guy, you can have Count Dooku engaged, and like with no suppression tokens, and then by the end of the round, with me not even touching the guy, he's at 6.
He's just panicked
every round.
Yep.
That's the thing you can do, and so that's a nightmare with those asset secondaries, especially on negotiations where you have to take a full action to grab the thing. Or supply drop is the same deal, right? You have to take a full action to grab the thing, and they have to be in the right place at the right time in order to score it. Yeah. Like it's just a nightmare. And then with fortune activations,
take into consideration that there's just like a lot more suppression going out earlier now because strike teams are
snipers.
Everywhere.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention that. Is that I have 2 snipers that have overwhelm. And so like. Yeah, this list really piles on the suppression, and that was sort of like the whole point of the list. And so it was then in that very last round that it sort of all came to fruition. So we won that one too, and by then we'd really recovered from our fairly crappy day 1, and we won all 3 of them on day 2. And so we ended up
the old submarine.
We ended up submarining, and ended up at 5th place out of 36 teams. It's pretty good. Meanwhile, USA 1, which had been doing very well and continued to do very well the entire time, they ended up at 3 wins, 2 ties, and 1 loss. But because the way that this works is that you get 3 tournament points for a win and 1 for a tie, is that they ended up being 1 below us.
They actually won more games than you guys.
They won more actual games of Legion than we did.
Yeah.
And they also So this was the thing that surprised me, is that even though we submarined, we ended up with a stronger strength of schedule, which, so, take that, Isaiah. I know you were crying to me at the end of the tournament, just like, this isn't fair. You guys submarined and you got better than us. But here's the important thing. USA 2 was at 5th place and USA 1, quote unquote, was in 6th place.
There you go.
So take that, suckers. But importantly, because we had the good day, this is the more important thing, that because we had a good day too, we were able to continue to be in the place to where all of the USA teams were in the top 8, which is where we've been for all 3 of these years so far. We still haven't won it quite yet. We're working on that, maybe next year. But it was overall just like a super great time. I'd say this is actually my favorite tournament, just because of the people. Everybody's just like really cool. Met a lot of very nice people who said some really nice things about the podcast. Everybody was missing you, Mike. They really wanted you there.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
I got to renew my passport, friends. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Also want to give some shout outs to Suman, Normies, also Daniel from Germany. You got to meet him. There was one Italian mercenary player who was on Netherlands 1, Michela from Italy, like very, very, very nice guy. And he did very well in the tournament also, by the way. And then, just like everybody's super cool. Really, really strong competition. I think that the level, like the average sort of skill level of the player is pretty similar to day 2 of Worlds, but it's for a tournament that is much bigger than that.
It's much more international than that.
Yeah, exactly.
To say the least. Yes.
And so, like, again, this will be happening next year. We're not sure where. It might be Copenhagen again. It might be somewhere else. But once we get to sort of recruiting time, this year was a little bit chaotic. Next year, I think that we're going to be able to have some more lead up. Is that I really hope that the U.S. can actually take 4 teams to the next one, and then that way it'll increase the odds that maybe we can actually win. Because the first one was won by France, second one won by England. This time,
never tell me the odds.
Yeah, that's right. This time was won by Germany. Germany 4. We'll get to that in a second. I did want to sort of briefly shout out the 6-0 players. So we had 2 Rebel players, 2 GAR players, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
We had Joachim from Switzerland, who hopefully I'm saying that right. This was the list that had Chewie outside of the Wookiee squad. That I think when we looked at this, we were like, what? Why didn't he just put Chewie in Wookiees? But obviously he knew what he was doing. But this is only 13 activation Rebel list, Mike.
I mean, it's 14, but sure.
It's okay. It has Han in it. You're right. But he went with the speeder truck that I'm guessing was carrying. What would the speeder have been carrying in this list? Because it can't carry the Super Cassian.
Probably the Ion.
Sleeper cell.
Nah.
Maybe.
I would put the Ion guy in it. Probably.
Ion guys. Yeah. Okay.
Everybody else has Scout other than the naked Rebel Trooper and squad.
Yeah.
That is eligible.
But yeah, he had a Rider's Eyes HQ uplink speeder with unorthodox tactician, so handing out lots of aims. So it's almost sort of like a more traditional sort of Rebel list, like an older school one. But he obviously did very well with it. And then also Jakob on Germany 3, Buff Tauntauns. He's a member of the TFT Discord, so shout out to you. He was also playing much higher activation Rebel list, so 17.
18. But sure.
Sorry, 18. Did it again. 18 activations with Han doing the double thing, but this was maybe sort of aside from one thing, a very sort of standard Rebel list. Aside from 2 things, the first thing that I'll point out is that if you pull up his list on Longshanks, is that the title of his list is literally this entire thing. Did you ever hear the tragedy of IG-11, the Redeemed? I thought not. It's a story the guild would not tell you. And then it like goes on and on and on. The title of his list was literally like an entire paragraph. I didn't know that TTA let you do that, but that was pretty funny. But yeah, he had IG-11 in bounty programming, so not with Grogu. And I asked him if AI ever triggered, and he said that it didn't because he mostly was keeping IG-11 like towards the back.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't like sort of a prime target. Granted, he did say that he doesn't really think that IG-11 contributed as much as he really could have, and that if he could do it over again, he might have picked something else. But he correctly admitted that even though IG-11 is probably still overcosted, Han is so vastly undercosted that it was still more than a wash at the end of the day. But yeah, 18 activation Rebel list. God. But then I'm going to get to my favorite one last, which was not Isaiah's list, even though Isaiah was actually the top overall player with his list, and he brought Yoda, Padme. Mike, he did do the Chewbacca in melee Wookiees coming out of the lat, which is, if you haven't faced against that, it's like a very legit list. Chewbacca and melee Wookiee specifically, like it can survive long enough to get in there, and then when it gets in there, it's like really a pain
really hard
to
to
get rid of. Yeah. Lats, I think, have. What do you think about this, Mike? In the current meta, that lats actually are better than they were before. And so there's two reasons why. One, snipers are not amazing against them. I think that it would usually feel like kind of a waste if you're trying to get an auto wound on a lat with your sniper team rather than, getting 2 suppression on a trooper, blah, blah, blah. But here's another big important thing is that now, especially Rebel and Empire players are investing a lot of points into SABs. Droid players are going to be doing that too. And lats are immune to range 1. Which means that now you have lists where their biggest impact options are actually not usable against the lat at all. And so it creates this weird situation to where I think like a little bit of a meta shift is something that favors the one immune range 1 armored unit in the game, which is the lat. And I think there might be something to that. What do you think, Mike?
I mean, maybe my issue with the lat has really never been. It's like
survivability.
Survivability. I mean, obviously, like unstable exists still and all that jazz, and
sure.
Probably will continue to be potentially a problem. But,
yeah.
I think to me the lat has always just been like, man, this offensive profile really is gutter town. But
he'd have bunker buster and armor piercing.
With that being said, it is one of very few units in the game that can probably like shoot at 2 sniper teams with its activation and feel not terrible about it. Which I guess is okay. I still don't love it, but I do think that like it's with the Cody upgrade, which Isaiah's got here as well. It's a pretty cheap alternative to the Saber that turns that on. And, when your lat's getting free aim tokens every turn and is also providing free aim tokens to Cody, like you kind of have to be generating like a lot of value outside of the lat to still want it.
Yeah.
And in this case, he's got like multiple squads that are depending on the lat, right? Like it's not just the Chewie Wookiees that are jumping out of it, right?
Right, because he also has a shock trooper pilot on the lat and starts handing out surge tokens, and
he's got a clone trooper marksman with the Cody, which is also relying on the lat being there. He
had an ISP as well, for what it's worth.
Sure.
He went with the beam ISP just for you, Mike. But obviously
tables turn.
I know, right? Obviously Isaiah knows what he's doing with ISPs, and as I mentioned in that first game, is that they can be a really great objective unit with just how fast they are, and being pretty durable against a weak side of the table. But a bunch of other stuff. This is like a typical Isaiah thing, to where I will sort of like say until I turn blue that I don't think it's the right decision, but like putting Ahsoka on the ARC troopers in order to make them more survivable. Even though he's not getting the extra benefit out of charge from Ahsoka. But he did that. Obviously, he went 6-0, so, and he's a former world champion, so he knows what he's doing. But I still disagree with the decision. So he obviously did great. But then, sorry, Isaiah, the Gar list that I really want to talk about is Elber Gore's list from France 1. Mike Elbergore ran Rex and Padme in a 14 activation list that also features a bunch of arcs. It's like 2 arcs, 2 strike teams, and 3 strike and fade, Gunner, Radagnask, Fluttercraft.
Yeah, man.
Who also, not comparatively as much compared to the lat, but they do benefit from the immune range, one thing, but they also benefit from the fact that snipers are actually less good against them than they used to be, because they used to get sharpshooter and now they don't. And they don't auto pierce anymore. And so like if a sniper is shooting at a fluttercraft, then they're going to want to sort of like keep the regular dice, but the fluttercraft gets to do like a cover 2 roll against it every time. And like taking the auto crit against them doesn't feel like an amazing way to use your sniper either. And then on top of that is that they are fast enough that they could counter dive an enemy sniper. And if they touch the terrain that the enemy sniper's on, then they're like gonna kill it.
Unless they'll kill us
unless they roll really badly.
They'll kill a Civil War one for sure.
Yeah, they'll kill Civil War one, exactly. The other ones that have impervious, so like maybe not. But yeah, I had not thought of this, but it is something that I will be thinking about. And so, I mean, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about it? It's also a 14 at Gar list, which is not super easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's Gar MSU, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of where Gar needs to be operating at the moment.
I'm
not surprised a list like this went 6-0 as far as like if Gar was gonna get there, like something like this, I think makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the Fluttercraft was like still, I don't think it was like top tier before the latest update, but I think it was a lot better than people were giving it credit for. And I do think the fact that it's like one of the units in the game that, can deal with strike teams in a way that you don't feel terrible about.
Yeah.
Is like, it's like a valuable thing to have,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So love this list. But
it also has a major bonus of being good against perhaps the 2, maybe not the best, but like 2 of the top 5 best units in the game. Fluttercraft are very good against Wheelbite Grievous. They're
they really
very
are.
good against
my God.
They're very good against Han Solo, right? Like both of those things
when he's not in melee.
When he's not in melee, sure. But putting like chip pierce shots into Han, like Han doesn't love that,
Yes, that's correct.
Grievous also hates it.
He really does.
So like I actually think the Nest Gunner Fluttercraft is like, if I were to take a Bark or this right now, I think I'd be leaning towards the Fluttercraft, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of exists at a point tier that's a little bit above like the Naked Bark. So you have the Naked Bark zone to start out, but then if you're going to be in that 75 pointage zone, then I think that the Fluttercraft is a better buy than like an RPS Bark is at the moment.
100%. Not particularly close.
Yeah.
And I also think the Overrun Fluttercraft is pretty good against Han. Like if you really want a dedicated Han answer.
Yeah, the bigger problem with the Overrun Fluttercraft is just like the nature of Overrun when you have like a unit that has a big base, which does mean that it's fast, but then you're sort of depending on like being in the right place with where your movement template is more than where your base is, and so it can. For what it's worth, I haven't tried it, but. Just like my experience with Overrun with Grievous is basically just that like you need to plan out your stuff so carefully. But honestly, with the Flutter Bomber, you don't need to plan it out that carefully because you've repositioned.
Exactly.
You can just sort of like do whatever you want.
Wherever you want.
So yeah, maybe I haven't thought about that. Maybe that's something I should try. Is like to do some Flutter Bomber shenanigans, which would really be scary to strike teams.
Because, boom.
Yeah, because then you can try twice. It's like, I didn't get you the first time, I'll just get you this time.
Yeah.
They're gonna sort of eat it. But yeah, love that list. But we have the winners of the tournament was Germany 4. Now I think with both, like I mentioned with Denmark, Germany did not like choose their team numbers based on like which one is the best. I think that the way that they do it is based on sort of like the region that they come from. And so I guess a lot of the very good players are maybe from the same area is what my guess is. But this is the team that has Andreas Roeder, Marcus Wagner, Lucas Vorwerg, and October. All names that people that have been sort of following the Legion scene will be pretty familiar with, I think. Most of these guys have come over to America at least once for Worlds. I played a very fun game against Marcus 3 years ago. This is where I made the hilarious joke about the German Coast Guard on stream, which I was very proud to. And Marcus knew the joke. Have you heard that one, Mike?
No.
It's like, what is the short version is that if you call a German Coast Guard and you tell them that you're sinking, then they say, "What are you sinking about?"
That's good.
It's really stupid.
I
told that to Marcus on the stream. Well, and that was the year that we were wearing our stupid like Mega America gear. That me and Kyle did that same thing. Were you part of that too?
No.
Okay, it was just me and Kyle doing like, I had the headbands, I had the parachute pants, I had like the shades. I looked really dumb, and I lost in epic fashion against Marcus on stream with the Gar versus Gar match where we both played exactly the same command cards for the entire game. Nice. It was we both had Anakin. We just used all the same stuff. But really nice guy, and Lucas was a guy I lost to in WTC last year. We didn't face these guys, but their team, they had the team name of Kein Hose, Kein Problem, which translates to no pants, no problem. And you can choose what region you represent. And so, like, most people chose the boring thing of like, I represent the region of the United States, but their choice for the region was Referat für Altersgerecht Ventilation im Kongeriget. I probably screwed that up, but that is the Department for Age-Appropriate Ventilation in the Core Area. For the team called No Pants, No Problem. So lots of very mature jokes going on with this German team. Yeah. But like I said, very, very good players. And as far as their lists go, I want to start with Andreas. We're going to notice a theme here. CIS, 17 activations with Kalani and Maul, and a bunch of BXs and a couple of Ion Spiders. Okay, so let's keep track. We have CIS with 17 activations. Marcus is playing Rebels this time. 17 activations, with, of course, Han, and then 2 generic officers and 1 generic agent. By the way, I did get totally blasted in the face by multiple thermal detonator combos in this tournament, which made me upset for reasons that are well recorded in this podcast. But then, yeah, he's got like a couple of lasers, couple of laser RTs, 1 flamer RT, and then a bunch of just like rebel stuff, the good stuff. Mm-hmm. So we have a 17 followed by an 18 activation. October, playing the Empire list. Only 13 activations, and he does not have any Dark Troopers in this list. So a true 13 activation Empire list, but he did have Thrawn and Operative Vader. Along with he ran Inferno Squad. He did, and he did double ISF, and he didn't have Iden, which is interesting.
Iden's in there.
Oh, sorry, he did have Iden. So my mistake. So he ran basically like Iden, triple Inferno / ISF, and Vader and Thrawn. So it's sort of like,
sort of like all activation. The things. I get all the things.
Yeah, yeah. If you go down to 13, then you get some free stuff. But that one does stand out because it's an Empire list that's not activation spamming. It's not doing the Scout Trooper thing.
I mean, I would like to point out that so far all 3 of these lists have full complements of detachment units.
Yes, so this one does it with
before you say they're not spamming activations.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Like,
yeah, so this doesn't do the strike team spamming. It does instead had 3 pro droids, 1 for each of the special forces. Yes. And then here's the one that does stand out from among those because Lucas Vorwerg's list was. He also did like a full paragraph for his list title, but he only had 9 activations, Mike. Mm-hmm. He ran 212 with triple saber, and he also had 3 flamer RTs, which is, again, there's very few lists where you're going to be upset that you have a bunch of flamers these days, even against droids, because droids are not going to do the stat thing as often. They're not even going to do the aqua thing as often. They're going to have BXs a lot, so the flamers are going to feel good no matter what. And he had one naked marksman as his single core. He, of course, had Cody as his commander. And then, Mike, he had an ARF Trooper squad with only Obi-Wan as his upgrade choice. Which I did talk to Lucas about this, and his reason was that he wanted something that could deal with melee threats just in general on the list. And so he was basically like, I wanted Obi-Wan and the ARF Trooper. And but so this was just like shooting 4 black at range. It did not have any heavies or duos or anything. And granted, it is only 25 points, so it's not like you're making a huge like list building decision by putting him in there. But it's important to point out, Mike. So what do you think? Should we take everything back about what we said about Obi-Wan?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh my God. I think the thing is, there's like nothing else to put in your 212 list. Like literally nothing else. Like he's already got 3 saber tanks, he's already got 3 flamethrowers. Not to mention, you got gifted the Kenobi upgrade for free because the saber tanks dropped 30 points in total. So, like literally 2 weeks ago, this list would have been like the same minus Kenobi. You know, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, look, I think that there is like. It's like fine. Like I think if you took away the points cost of that unit, right? And you said, do you want a unit that shoots 4 black dice at range 4 and like is a immune pierce and like can reroll its defense dice some like once or twice a game, you know, if you recover or whatever, I'd say yeah, that's like fine. Is it 91 points? You know, like you know, would I pay 80 for that? Maybe, you know, I don't know. I think like the thing that the unit does is fine. It's just the cost, right?
And the other thing worth mentioning is that it does allow him to give Scout 1 to one of the saber tanks, like probably his last activation saber tank.
Yeah. It helps that there's a battle force ability that incentivizes you to take an ARF Trooper unit. And you're like, oh, I'm taking an ARF Trooper unit, which is already super expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, I don't know.
Now, I did ask Lucas, what are your thoughts on ARF OB in a non-212 list, and he was like, "Oh, it's garbage, it's crap. I would never." Take it.
I mean, that's the thing. Like I think 212 is the one place that like it is maybe a consideration.
Sure.
But the main reason to consider it is that once you get past the saber tanks and once you get past the ATRGs, it's like, oh, there's not really good things to put in my list anymore. You know,
it's almost like because of the 30 points that was saved from the sabers all getting cheaper by 10, is that he was like, I guess I'll just like toss Obi-Wan in there.
Yeah. Which, you know, again, like fine. Yeah. It's like nice to have a unit on the back that can like do a little defensive thing, but is it worth, you know, 91 points is still like a full commando and a strike team in other factions, you know,
right.
Like, yeah. So
yeah, like I totally agree with you. I do think that like I can definitely see his argument for why he put it in there. And also do want to mention that so all 3 of these sabers have shock pilots and the beam. 2 of them also have armor piercing.
I think the armor piercing is very important.
Yeah, because it's also going to be, I think, extra important very soon, which we might get to towards the end of the podcast, because there's a certain unit that is going to show up in a lot of different places.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll talk about that. But yeah, like even a couple times against me with my spiders, like with that very first list that I played, like the fact that he had AP shells on his sabers basically meant that he could just like wipe out the spiders super duper quickly. Whereas like, because normally you only have critical 1 impact 2 if you're just relying on the beam plus main gun.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just like not going to be enough for what you're trying to achieve with your tank. And so I think that, yeah, AP is definitely like, that's the shell of choice.
You'll notice that as an anti-armor option, he chose not to take the RPS in the after period.
Well, it's because you picked the one that is much better from a gameplay standpoint on the unit that naturally surges to hit and that has other impact on top of it to make sure that, because when you're up to impact 5, and then plus you're getting some crits in there, then you're in the zone of even like armor 1 doesn't matter.
No.
Like no armor matters because like everything is just like turning to a crit at the
Get
end.
wrecked, Grievous.
Yeah, exactly. Congratulations to Germany. Congratulations to Isaiah. And then also my apologies to Isaiah for the fact that my team overtook yours.
So I did want to,
yeah.
We just went through like the kind of like the top 4 and
sure.
The team that won. I just wanted to, some quick hit stats before we
go ahead.
Jump into maybe, I don't know if you're ready to go into kind of like the summary conversation. However, I did want to just like outline some average activation counts.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for doing this math. I was busy getting delayed again on my way back yesterday. This time it was because Delta pilots did not show up to their plane in Minneapolis.
Well,
so shout out to my brother who's a pilot for Delta.
At least you weren't flying in Spirit, right?
Exactly. But yeah, what was your observation, Michael?
Yeah, so the average activation count for Germany 4 obviously was 14. The average activation count for the top 8 lists that were like in the tournament, that 4 of them went 6-0, the other 4 went 5-1, was 13.375.
Okay.
Those are some
high.
Yeah. I mean, that means those are averages. I want to emphasize.
Averages, yeah.
So half of everybody was above that, half of that was below. Yeah, so I don't know. What are you thinking in summary here for WTC?
I think that there wasn't anything that surprised me per se.
Sure.
Aside from, I think maybe like the one caveat I would make is that, in the right situations, is that like being able to double demoralize, double slice comms truly is a mega dirty thing. Then that was just like from my personal list point of view.
I didn't appreciate this enough.
Yeah, I was not appreciative enough, especially with those new secondaries like I talked about. But in terms of the list that did well, like, I think that most people would have predicted that like rebels have access to a bunch of undercosted units, and that snipers in general are strong. Like they're very strong from an act padding standpoint, and they're also very versatile.
Sure.
I think that maybe something we didn't harp on just because we were so focused on the auto wound thing on our first episode, which I would defend still.
Yes,
but it's their versatility is something that is really worth focusing on, because like they can help you with answers against almost anything when it comes to being able to suppress troopers or get crits against armor or auto wound commanders. Like there's just like so many different things they can do, and they pad your activations.
They're also like objective scorers that you can decide. You can decide are untouchable. Right?
Yes, until the right possible time. Yeah.
I've had a couple situations where I'm like, I'm playing recon mission. I'm just going to keep one of my snipers hidden. So if I drop a thing, my dude can just stealthily run up there, like drop incognito at the start of his activation, run up there, grab the recon token, score it, and die. And I played 40 points for that. Great. I'll pay 40 points for a victory point,
Like they're really strong. My other observation is that, oh my God, Thrawn.
I did tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you did, and it's not like I couldn't see it coming. But it's crazy that like we ranked Kalani appropriately as an S tier unit when we did our tier list a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And yet Thrawn is so much better.
Thrawn needs if we're like comparing those units against each other, like you have to make like an S+ tier for Thrawn.
Yeah.
Like if Kalani stays in S, which I think he probably does. He
probably still does, honestly. But man, it's just like he literally has everything. And then on top of that, he actually has like a really good melee profile when things do get,
He's like
into the weeds.
If you combined Kraken and Kalani's best things about them and like
Exactly.
made like a super unit and then also gave them like
one step ahead,
like one step ahead and gave them like Count Dooku's command cards, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
yeah,
it's like, oh, okay.
And yeah, God, like his 2-pip, his 1-pip, and like his
3-pip,
which is comparatively boring, but it still gives you a bunch of free tokens. Like, why not?
It's still like probably in the running for like top 15, top 20 command cards
exactly.
in the game, right? Like, it's his worst one by like a lot.
God, he's insane. Yeah, he should probably be more expensive. But anyway,
I'm not sure I agree with that.
Or maybe this is just a continuation of the thing that everybody else just needs to be cheaper in terms of unique characters.
I mean, I think specifically in the commander slot, like I think a lot of characters in the commander slot just like kind of don't see play. And you know,
pro and out for tag. Like who's gonna play tag, Mike? Honestly,
no one should play tag ever. You know, like, Tarkin at least does something different.
and Krennic also still does something different because he has compel.
He also just has like the virtue of being like the cheapest out of all.
Very cheap, exactly.
You know? Like,
and so then who you got left? You got tag, and it's like, why would I do this?
Yes, yeah.
They didn't even let tag into Stormtrooper Battalion, which would have given you a reason to think about tag.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Poor
Sorry, tag. But
sorry, Tag, even though you have more command cards than the Mace Windu. Sorry, I shouldn't have brought it up.
So I do want to like, because I feel like we talked about it a little bit, but it's been a full major 6-round tournament for you. Where are you at with the sniper teams?
Should we talk about your tournament first before we talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, we can.
Okay, yeah. Tell me, because I've been talking so much. I apologize.
You're
you have
good.
to hear my voice over and over again. But
Top
Deck, tell me about it.
Yeah, so it was 24-person tournament up in Nick Bodnar's woods. So always a good tournament. Always great turnout. Always great terrain. Great people. I decided to, play a fun
go to the dark side.
Yeah, I mean, I go to the light side, Evan. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm still my army still has the good guy type on the force light side, dark side.
Oh yeah, that's right. So. That's still a thing that matters. Does it matter at all?
It does. It differentiates whether you can take Jedi Mind Trick or Force Choke and Hope or Fear. And I think that's maybe there might be one of those like useless Force upgrades that came out recently might also be typed as Dark Side, but like whatever. I think it's like it's the one.
And now with Onakigang, you have to choose. Is that right? You have to choose.
You do. It doesn't have any. Weird. Maybe like has like a consequence if you're playing like a team game or something. But other than that, like probably not.
Yeah.
So I iterated on. I think last episode we probably talked about my Lando Han list.
Mm-hmm.
I decided Lando really wasn't cutting in the mustard, particularly because he's like roughly the same points cost as Thrawn.
He's like a bad Thrawn now.
Yeah, he's like a bad Thrawn. Exactly. So I decided to go 2 Rebel Officer, 1 Rebel Agent plus Han in my Commander Operative slot. Everybody's got blaster pistols. Everybody's got thermal detonators, which turned out to be very good. Rebel players, you just like don't know.
You're swimming in it.
You don't know how good you got it, man. Like I was like, geez, these just like do more damage than all of my Jedi ever did. It's crazy. And then I took Cassian super fleets. Rebels. 2 Rebel Trooper units with SX-21s, and one had, I guess, 2 Rebel Troopers with SX-21s, 2 more with SX-21s, and one had Luke and one had Jyn. Because, hey, squad leaders, real cool thing to do. 3 Proton Commandos and 3 Sniper Strikes. So 15 units, 16 activations, because I, like the good little boy that I am playing, I see you in hell on turn 1 every game. And, whoo. Han is much better than I mean, like Han
We talked him up a lot. And
we talked him up a
still...
lot, and I'm not sure we talked him up enough.
So tell us why, Michael.
Yeah. So I mean, I think he specifically gels with what Rebels are doing generally, and I think in a world where you're also padding your activations, he's markedly just really good. And the reason for this is that, generally speaking, you are able to get him into your opponent's lines on turn 1. And so the play pattern for this list specifically was play See You in Hell on turn 1, play Battlefield Reconnaissance on turn 2.
Yep, this was done to me, and I hated it. I hated it so much.
And so the situation it puts your opponent in is like, your opponent's at the top of turn 2. They're like, okay, Han Solo is in my lines. I have to kill him now, or he's going to obliterate me. Meanwhile, you're like, okay, I have a 16 activation Rebel list that just has 16 activations like Natty. I also just picked up 2 pass tokens from Battlefield Recon. So it's like, your opponent's like, okay, well, I would really like to pass into this monstrosity of activation spam that is going to be able to like wait for my entire army to come to them and then just blow it off the board. But I can't wait, because if I wait, Han is just going to kill me.
Yeah.
And it puts them into this like predicament that it's really damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
And they kind of have to choose like the worst of both worlds, and that like they have to like try and deal with Han, but then everything that tries to deal with Han just gets to die to the rest of the list that is just like sitting on its hands waiting for you to take your turn, and then like playing Warhammer and coming up and like killing everything that already activated afterwards.
Yep.
And if you don't actually kill Han, he still just kills you. Because Han is still really hard to kill if you set him up properly. It is like, I think my bigger, that combo is very good. You can obviously, like, if you have your own Han, you can like break it up with like change of plans and stuff. But that requires you to have Han in the first place. And so, like, my first round game was like, against a newer player. My snipers like made it so that his Anakin only ever took one action every turn the entire game. I don't think that was super enjoyable for him, but snipers be doing that. And then my round 2 game was against a 12-act Gar list, which was like Yoda like trying to like get their activations up there by making a bunch of sacrifices in Republic, because like knowing what the activation spam was going to be, you kind of had to like concede that. We were playing Payload, and I don't actually remember the secondary off the top of my head. But it was like I scored all the payloads, and I basically tabled him, but Han is excellent on the missions where you could come in off the side.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh so my good. God. And it was a situation where I was like, I decided, I was like, okay, man, I'm going to pressure your home payload on turn 1. Like,
so
that's
payload is a sick Han objective.
And I was like,
it's disgusting.
So I was like, all right, I bring my commandos on, I like shoot your guys on your home point, or like that are trying to protect it. And then like I move them back, and like I did that a couple times. And I basically was like, you have to deal with my guys on this side. And the only way in his list to really do that was like his arcs had to like get a little aggressive, which set up my Han to just be like, well, I guess I'm meleeing your arcs on my first activation on turn 1. Like, so Han, got in there, dealt a bunch of stuff. I'm going to give some stats on how many things Han killed this game in a second. But the play pattern that was actually like just absolutely brutal is Han was like manhandling his back point to the point where Yoda on turn 2 had to burst of speed over to get to Han.
Yeah.
And so turn 3, Yoda's immobilized. He's got to play his 1-pip, because otherwise like Yoda can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sorry about the mess. Han withdraws, runs away. and Yoda actually can't reach him.
Oh my God. That's terrible.
And then Han just gets to go again.
Bye.
And so instead of Han being on the point that Yoda was trying to deal with, Han was literally on the second point at the middle point on the end of that turn, and I just took
So
that
gross.
point instead. I was just like,
I hate it.
But in that game, Han killed 2 5-man arcs, 1 7-man ARC trooper unit, 2 5-man clone infantry, and an arc strike team by himself.
Yeah. Because he can do that.
He's cheaper than most of those things too. there are several units on that list that are more expensive than he is.
I feel like we could have like a video montage of units that Han is cheaper than. That would be potentially pretty funny.
Yeah. My third game, I think I thought I bungled it a little bit. It was a bit of a mirror. He had 1 less activation than I did, and because of that, he had Commander Luke on a Tauntaun instead of like a rebel officer. I made what I thought was an error midway through the game, and that is because of how it panned out. I ended up, because they like nerfed improv and stuff. My Han's first activation happened like a little bit earlier than I wanted it to, and I had to kind of just like dedicate him to a side of the board before my opponent had put their Luke and their Han on the table.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is I took my first Han activation, and then he kind of like counter deployed my Han with his Luke and his Han. And I decided to charge his Luke.
Okay.
Thinking that I could like sorry about the mess and maybe kill him over 2 activations. I haven't played enough like Han mirrors to like think about the ramifications of like if he plays change of plans and then I play change of plans and then like what ended up happening was I did not get to play sorry about the mess, and he did get to play Son of Skywalker the following turn, and so he killed my Han between his Han. But this caused a couple things. First, he did not play See You in Hell on turn 1. So he played Son of Skywalker on turn 2 and did not have a double activating Han. He did kill my Han, but because I was on Battlefield Reconnaissance, I was able to convert him killing my Han with his best units into me also killing both of his best units.
Yeah.
So it felt like a mistake on my part, but it actually, I think, ended up being like, I'm trading my Han Solo for your Han Solo and your Luke. Which is still a good trade.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Like I think could have avoided that had I been like thinking about it properly, and I think I could have set myself up for like a little bit more success there. With maybe having that result and not having a dead Han. But like the thing is, like that was like the worst case scenario, and it still was like, oh, I guess it's fine.
He's still so disruptive. For 90 points.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I guess this is fine. Like, so I only played 3 games at the tournament because it was a 1-day deal.
Right.
But man,
so you went 3-0, and then there were 2 other 3-0 lists because it was like a decent sized tournament.
There were one of the other ones was a rebel list that I don't know if it was like pound per pound the same as mine. Clay Holbrook was playing that. It was very close.
Pretty similar.
He had Luke on a Taun, I think, instead, and he had cut some upgrades, I think, to make room for that. But he was also at 16 activations, 3 start teams, Cassian.
Yeah.
I think he had Cassian troopers instead of fleets, which I think is maybe a little cheaper because of the SX-21. And, but all in all, it was like same setup, same command hand setup for the most part. And then Patrick Sherlock playing Separatists, playing 13 activation, not the Battle Force, but we like Warlord T-Mood Count Dooku.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It was Wheelbite Grievous, Count Dooku with Force Push, 6 B1s, one with an uplink so that he could handle that situation. 2 Wheelbikes and 3 Droidekas.
That's an interesting list. So like he's He's definitely like, doing the full B1 activation padding dealio.
Yeah. Because B1s are still good for that. Like,
yeah, of course. I mean, and they give you full order control, or like functionally full order control, which is important.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder about like, could you make this 12 activations and do strike teams and full BXs instead of B1s? But probably you would need more points than that.
Custom droid echoes and
custom stuff. Yeah.
As the B1s also get to hand an order off to the droid echoes too. Now that
that's true.
That's how that
true.
works, right? So
yeah.
Definitely interesting list. Again, snipers everywhere, activation padding. Like obviously, the average of these lists is.
The teamers are very good against snipers. That is for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so, not a super ton to talk about there on my side of things. This is obviously like a very small sample size, but,
but you were playing snipers all day, and you were playing. So we talked about Han. So we were about to talk about the sniper thing. I mean, so yeah, where have you shifted, if anywhere, as far as snipers go?
I mean, I'm not sure we emphasized it enough. I is kind of where I'm presently landing. Like, I think, I'm not convinced they're the answer in Republic. I think the Republic combo is actually maybe too expensive for what it is.
I agree about this.
I gotta say, I do not understand why BX sniper teams are 40 points and ARC sniper teams are 49.
They should be a couple points.
They're
more
like
expensive.
Basically the same unit for all intents and purposes.
They're paying the token sharing tax, and it feels unnecessary.
It's like a 25% points difference like between those two units, and it's kind of.
I'm like giving them the defend one for a unit to where you're incentivized against giving them an order token in the grand scheme of things. Because like with any list that has snipers, I think that there is an incentive towards running 3 other regular supports so that you can have a bag that is as support heavy as possible.
Yeah.
In order to have like those things for, at least certainly on my list, my bag was all like supports and super tax basically. And so that ended up being, and a lot of lists are going to be incentivized to do the same thing, including Republic. And so like they have defend one, but it feels like sort of paying extra for that plus the token sharing thing
unless you're
feel worse about the unit in general.
Yeah, unless you're playing Yoda, like the amount of times you're turning that on is very, very slim.
Right. It's just like Yoda only pretty much.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't want to harp on that too much, but I think the Republic combo is a little too expensive for what it is, but I think it's definitely at its best in Rebels, at least right now. I think the BX teams, I don't know what you probably can speak to that better than I can. I haven't really played with or against them. I've only played against like Rebel, Empire, and Republic strike teams so far.
The BX sniper team, it's the fact that it doesn't have low profile. Like I think I would rather, if I could like choose, that I would rather have the white saves and low profile than have the red saves with impervious and non-low profile.
Low profile is really good when your opponent is trying not to dedicate large pools to killing the units.
Exactly. And so on that part, they only feel okay, but like they feel really good because again, they're still only 40 points.
Yeah.
But B, that the BXs, which got cheaper by 4 points with this update, was the Vibro BX squad at 66 points. Even just naked, like feels really, really solid in CIS as far as like being a hell of a threat. Not only obviously a melee threat, but is also something that your opponent has to think about in terms of being a late activation that can easily shoot at them if they deploy a little bit too far with somebody. And the 8 white dice, it's a little bit of a roulette wheel, but it's still something, and you can have aim tokens lying around to make that better.
The range 3 diff there is pretty big.
Yeah, because it's range 3 plus a scout 3. Like that's a big poke range.
Yep.
But then also the fact that Asajj is a really strong character in there. The thing that I hadn't even talked about yet, which I didn't really get to exploit as much as I would have wanted to in this tournament, was failed negotiations on Asajj. when she has incognito, means that you actually could be pretty aggressive with her on round one.
You definitely could have made that play for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that in that last round, they would have been really, it wasn't failed negotiations that time.
Sure. Yeah. I just like, if that had been the circumstance,
yeah,
that would have been
when you can
acceptable.
combine that, then it would have made me, that play would not have been crazy.
Right.
And it would have actually been a really good play.
Yeah.
Because it would have been like, okay, move up your do-back, bro. I'll be right there. And so like when you combine the fact that their full unit feels really strong, and that, you know, also the full units for commandos and scouts feels very strong. The full unit for arcs feels okay. It's not terrible.
No. It's not bad. It's just like,
it feels like fine.
Yeah, and I think the main difference is that like if you want to do the like strong thing, I think in Republic it's what 140-ish per unit of 2 basically.
Yeah.
And in the other factions it's like 90. You know, like
yeah, exactly. I will say that I think I'm actually shifting over to team arc heavy instead of medic, because of the turn 1 potential for that. Like when you have, because it is pretty similar to that BX situation, is that then you have a scout 2 and a speed 3. Granted, it's a smaller dice pool, but you have an aim token and it's suppressive.
At least you get to do something.
So it's something that you get to do.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a very sick range 2 attack. If you can pull that off with the full unit, to have like all those dice plus suppressive. And so I do like that, but you know, I did spend a lot of time talking to Republic players, you know, mostly from the English guys, because we were at the same hotel, so we spent a lot of time hanging out, talking Gar. And it's funny that I talked to a couple of Gar players who were like, you know, Mike just has all the wrong opinions about Gar, and then a couple of Gar players who say Mike is totally right about Gar. So as usual, you're getting the viewers by being your damn self. Exactly.
I do what I can.
Yeah, but I think that everybody had the common theme of, even though Gar obviously can compete still, is that it still feels kind of boring. And that you're sort of, it feels like you're sort of throttled into a few different choices. And we've also talked about this, is that when you have this cycle of releases and you think about the other factions, like you got Wheelbag Grievous, Trench is coming up, he might be pretty sick. And then on the Empire side, you had the High Command Pack, which obviously has a lot going on, plus all this sniper chain stuff that made scouts even better. And then on the Rebel side, you have Haunton, and you have, you know, the new upgrade pack and their sniper situation. Is that everybody's got a bunch of new toys. Meanwhile, on the Gar side, like what was the latest release for Gar? I'm trying to remember. Like they had customizables in November.
Probably Marksman.
And then Marksman. So Marksman, it certainly added some options. It's not what I would call like exciting options. It's not, you know, there's no command cards involved. It doesn't change a ton for gameplay stuff.
I also think, and we haven't talked a ton about this, but like I think the prepared positions units that aren't snipers got a lot worse with the snipers,
because now they can be snipes. Yeah.
Well, it's just like you're like, I set up my like the amount of places you can put your prepared positions units now are like that are reasonable.
That's
is
a good
like
point.
is like significantly, like, unless you've got a line of sight blocker, you're like, do I really want to put any of these prepared positions units down in a place where your opponent can put a sniper unit down at exactly range 5, shoot you, and then you can't hit them back because you're speed 1 and range 4, right? Like
that's a really good point.
You can't actually reach the sniper teams with your prepared positions units unless you have some jank going on. Right?
And also, guess what? Your free dodge means nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely zero. Like your prepared positions dodge tokens are worthless.
Yep. They are worth 0. And it does like change the way round 1 will often play out, because when both sides have only snipers their prepared positions, it becomes this thing to where if you draw your sniper first, then you actually hold on to your incognito usually.
Yeah.
And then you try to sort of position them to get a good shot next round. Whereas if you're
I
activating
think that
them
depends,
late,
but yeah,
it depends. But if you get to activate them late, which this is another advantage that droids have, is because of the token spam situation, is that you can again have a bag full of support to where your first 3 draws are all your vehicles or decas or whatever, and then you're activating all your B1s, and then your other face-offs, your commanders, whatever, and then so you're definitely in the back half zone by the time you are doing your first sniper activation, and then you're more likely to have something good to shoot at to do the move that it's funny that AMG talked about wanting to sort of prevent the sniper hiding, but it's definitely it's the move to shoot and then move behind line of sight blocking terrain so that they're safe until the next time you activate them. It's the thing that you still do.
And then you move and shoot, and if you need to corner peek, you corner peek, and if you don't need to, you don't.
Yeah, because by then the game will often be sort of in a chaotic zone to where their snipers probably have better things to do than to shoot at your snipers.
Yeah.
Often anyway. But yeah, putting it all together with Republic is that it's just this consensus of, Obi-Wan, as a unit, is now 20 feet underground. We're going to just increase the number of feet underground every time we mention him. And Anakin is still good. He can still kill a lot of stuff.
He's fine.
And so there's that. And then Yoda still feels fine, except for, when he gets sniped. But then, Gar is going to be.
Did get to kill Yoda with a sniper.
Oh,
over
good.
The weekend.
Yeah, because that's the thing that would happen to Yoda, is that he would get killed by a random rebel commando sniper.
I just withdrew with Han and then shot him.
Yeah, cool. So anyway, it's not going to get triggered by that all over again. But again, we talked about this new toy cycle, and so the new toy cycle that's coming up for Gar is is Jedi Council, right?
Yeah.
Listen, maybe that other command card is truly going to turn Mace Windu into something that we're going to be excited about. I don't think it will. Or they're holding back a secret force power that they, for some reason, didn't show us, called Shatterpoint.
Secret super force power.
A super secret force power called Shatterpoint, which, by the way, why is it that Mace Windu has nothing called Shatterpoint? It's one of my favorite novels. It's also in the old Star Wars canon.
It's also they named their other game after his signature.
Off of this sort of crazy force power that he has to basically see the future.
Yeah.
And poke you in the lightsaber in the one place to where all of your Beskar immediately falls apart and breaks or whatever. That's the thing that he can do, and it's not a representative of the game. But so we know Mace Windu doesn't feel great. These other Jedi were pretty hot on Shaq T in terms of is she cheap enough that she could be pretty exciting, especially that also sort of depends on how good Clan Kryze is, maybe. But the other 2 Jedi in there, Plo Koon and Ki-Adi, are really going to be dependent on how cheap they are in terms of how much they're going to be contributing. And so I just have this fear that they're all going to be 125 points or more, and that it's if Shaq T is 130 and then the other 2 are 140, 150, then it's just going to feel like the situation that Gar's in won't have changed.
It's okay. So I'm just going to play Mandos. I'm just going to play Mandos.
And so then we're dependent on Axe Woves, who we now know is going to be 90 points. And hopefully he has access to that flamethrower to sort of give Gar some more options as far as that goes. But it doesn't feel great where you're sort of depending on the Mandalorian release to make the faction feel exciting, and that's where I feel like Gar is right now, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in acceptance phase.
Sure.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
But I actually I spent the weekend putting together Mandos because I have had a lot of Mandos sitting in boxes for a very long time.
Like, what kind of Mandos are we talking about? Like Rebel, the Mandalorian Resistance guys?
I put together one Clan Ren, one Rebel
Sure.
Mandalorian Resistance, and I am in the middle of putting together 6 Shadow Collective Mandos.
Ooh.
Mainly because
Yeah.
I have enough of them that I think, and the Shadow Collective Mandos are like kind of, as long as you don't give them those stupid Maul helmets that look actually just like whatever.
It is dumb, isn't it? That's the idea that, like, okay, we're fans of this guy, and so we're gonna put horns on our helmets.
It looks so
like,
silly and stupid. Like
it's
like,
just as hang on, I'm gonna trigger some listeners, Mike. It's just as silly as the Ahsoka clone troopers who, like, did sort of like the paint design to make it look like her face.
I think that's
like,
a
okay,
little
but,
different. That's like painting
that.
a shark on your airplane, like.
But Ahsoka is not a shark; she's a person.
Sure,
right? And so it's sort of like, it's weird, right? Like, your face is this color, and so we're gonna like paint all of our helmets to look like your face.
Let's move on. That's treading on some territory I don't want to get into. The
reason why you're stating that is exactly the reason why I think it's weird, but we are going to move on.
Yes, yeah, that's fair.
But so
I've got 4 boxes of Shadow Collective Mandos
without the horns
and there's 24 Mandalorians in those boxes.
Yeah.
And you can assemble them without the horns, like all of them. So
yeah.
So that's 24 Mando models that I think you can probably just call like warriors and initiates for the most part. Like, they look very similar.
Sure.
I think it's mostly just like the paint jobs and stuff. So I think I'm just going to use my Shadow Collective Mandos as like supplemental to the 2 army boxes I got.
I think you'll be just fine doing that.
I think it'll be fine. So yeah, I'm
and then naturally they're going to have like the super commandos, whatever they end up being called, they're going to have a new unit card.
Yes.
As a part of like, but then you can probably also just use them for regular Mandalorian dudes.
Yeah. I mean, that's my plan. I think if somebody's going to call you out for it, like a tournament or something, like whatever, man.
So they're Mandalorians, man.
They're Mandalorians. They all look the same. It just depends on what color you paint them, really.
Were the Shadow Collective Mandos, were they on the little jump pegs or not?
So it's funny, they were on they're the same setup as the arcs.
The old arcs. Yeah.
So I've been gluing them to rocks on bases instead of using the stupid flight stands.
Luckily Silhouette rules are what they are.
They are, and I shout out to AMG here. The guys that are like flying in the new pack have like the like explosion-y attachment to the base,
Yeah.
Thank God. Like, I am so, after having my arcs on these flight stands for I don't know how many years now, and just having them, they're like impossible to reattach. They're so hard to attach in the first place, and then they're almost impossible to reattach if they break.
You need UV resin and a UV flashlight to actually reattach them, because the super glue is not enough. It doesn't dry fast enough, and it doesn't hold fast enough, and it is such a pain.
It is.
It's the worst. Yeah. So
very glad.
That's a smart decision.
Yeah. Very glad the rest of the new guys are in plastic on that front.
Yeah.
So but I'm looking forward to Mandos. I am a little bit worried about their points costs. And what
we can briefly talk
gonna,
about that.
How they're gonna live in a meta where like average activation counts are in the 14 to maybe higher range once everybody settles into a strike team meta. It is worth noting that there is a sniper in the army box for the Mandos, but I suspect that it's probably only takeable in the 5-man team, not the 2-man team, so it's probably infinitely less. But like, I don't think there's gonna be a 2-man team.
There is no 2-man team. Like that 5-man team is.
There's no 2-man team that we've seen.
Yeah.
Right. Like there could be.
Right, but unless they've held back an entire unit card, like their strike team, which is called strike team, is. Which
4 guys plus
the
a
English
heavy,
thing.
presumably.
It literally does not have the weapons team, or it has the heavy weapons keyword, but it's not the 2-man guy that we're used to. But so like I think that is going to be the only place where you can put the sniper. And you will be forced to do that in that team. So I think that they're all probably going to look the same unless there's 2 heavy options.
There is a second heavy because they did release the assembly guide for
I see.
For the army box, presumably, so that content creators that got it ahead of time can assemble them properly. There's like a micro grenade launcher or something, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
and then there's we know some points. We're not going to get deep into this because we're going to have our Mega Mando episode, whenever that happens.
I think there's only one of these units that I actually think we can comment on.
Sure, which one?
And that unit is the armor, because I actually think the armor, maybe pause too. They will likely not have any, based on their upgrade slots, not have a ton of customizability outside of their unit cards.
Yeah, because neither of them have a weapon slot. And so that means that they're going to have the same access to like the Mando upgrades that everybody else will.
I think it's actually more limited if I am. Let me just double check myself here.
Paz has training, gear.
Yeah.
And then armor has 2 command, 1 training, 2 gear.
Yep.
Neither of them have the grenade slot, which is going to be where the jetpack rocket is going to go. That is something that we know.
Yes, and notably, if you look at the kind of blurred out sheet, I didn't look at this very closely last time, but did you notice that it's a black dice instead of a red die, and it's 10 points instead of whatever it costs now?
I did not notice that.
Which seems a lot worse and a lot more expensive. You definitely can read both of those things on the blurred out image.
Right. So it's probably one black die per. I guess they might have done that because the base Mando squad is going to be 5.
I think it's going to be superable because you can see the super in the picture, in the upgrade card in the picture.
Oh wow. Well, I guess
so like the jetpack rockets on the super squad for 10 points probably pretty good, but if you consider that's the same jetpack rocket that assuming that Clan Ren still only has on the 3-man squad only has access to the same jetpack, that's significantly worse.
Yeah. And it also, that makes it a little bit weird where you're probably not gonna be paying 10 points to put that on Bo-Katan, who does have a grenade slot,
right?
But she doesn't have arsenal, which means that there wouldn't be any benefit to putting impact grenades on there or whatever, or even frag grenades, because you just use your pistols.
Maybe there's multiple versions of the rocket
there's other
card,
stuff that we haven't seen, obviously. Exactly.
I just, I think the armor and pause seem like the ones that are more complete, I think, overall than
probably
the other ones.
Yeah. And so pause is 1 of 5, which that seems fine. He's armor is 120. Also, we mentioned before that she's going to live a long time because she's just a natural 6 health that has Mando saves, and she does have a gear slot, which means that you could put stims on her to make her live extra long. She has jump too. I don't know, they're expensive because they're Mandalorians, but none of them. Bo-Katan is 110, by the way. None of them seem mega expensive. Axe is 90.
They're all cheaper than Boba Fett, thank God.
Yeah, for sure. And then Bo-Katan does have Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian leader, because with that one, that one's 90 base, by the way. And then that's the one where they're going to have all the bunch of weapon attachments that you're going to be able to choose between. That's the generic one. But then Bo-Katan does have an armament slot, so as anybody would have predicted, her art even has the dark sabers, that I'm sure she's going to have a dark saber option. Here's the thing: do you think that Bo-Katan's dark saber should be? Do you think it should be as good as Maul's?
I think,
because that would be pretty sick if it was.
I don't think Maul's is very good.
Well, but at least it is Pierce 2, and it gives cunning.
Cunning's going to be pretty bad on a character that only has 1 command card.
Ooh, yeah. Actually, that's not very good.
It might not even be a 1-pip.
Oh, God. Probably what it's going to do is that it's going to be different from any of the dark sabers that we've seen so far.
Maybe
It'll probably give her Inspire 2 and they might give her Pierce 2. I kind of hope that they give her Pierce 2.
Well, we're definitely getting 2 new. Well, I guess I shouldn't say definitely, but we're getting 2 characters that can take the Darksaber that couldn't before. You know, Din is definitely also getting it. The only way to assemble his model in the army box is with the Darksaber. There are no options. That is the only.
And that's because it is a special edition version of the Din Mini.
It is,
so,
but like if you could take him with, if like there was an option to like, if he wasn't getting the Darksaber, obviously that wouldn't even be a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like it should be different on him than it is on Bo-Katan. It probably should be worse on him.
I think I think on him he should get the something like the weighed down keyword.
I know.
You obviously can't give him weighed down because it doesn't like actually work with him really. But like you definitely I don't know.
Wasn't that was such a weird thing in the show about like how he acted like the thing weighed 50 pounds when he was swinging around in the show, and I never really understood why, because I was like,
it's made of light.
It's a lightsaber, man.
It's just his force of will is not strong enough to wield the Darksaber.
You're wearing Beskar armor, and like, so without that thing, you're able to move around really fast. But then all of a sudden, it's like, it's the weight of responsibility. I shouldn't be holding this thing. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. That seems like a Dave Filoni thing to do, because he's kind of a hack. But anyway, looking forward to Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters in just 2 weeks. Are you excited about that, Mikey?
Every time I see that, like one of these really, really poor trailers, I like cry a little bit inside. I'm like, I'm gonna have to go watch this movie, and I'm not gonna like it.
So I'm gonna go watch it with my father.
Sure.
Because I'm just lucky enough that I live pretty close to him, and it's the thing that we typically do when new Star Wars has come out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, he's seen all the movies, of course, but he's not like he's not like a crazy person like we are in terms of like knowing all of the inner fiction. And I'm not even positive he finished season 3 because it was really bad.
It was not as bad as you were giving it credit for.
It was terrible. Check out my review on fifthtrooper.com. And I'm just like sort of ready to cringe with my normal non-mega super fan Star Wars, like non-Star Wars mega super fan father, to be looking at this Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni dialogue that's going to be there through this movie. And there's going to be stuff like when what's his face Zeb shows up for the first time, is that it's probably going to be played as if this is some like huge moment about like
half the theater's not going to know who he is,
and they're going to be like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
Who's that large purple man? Why should I be so excited about the fact that he's here? I mean, for what it's worth, I think that it's good that they sort of like finished the Mandalorian heavy stuff in season 3, so that this will be more of just like a regular adventure movie, because I think that was like one of the worst parts of the Mandalorian show, was when it got deeper into the fiction about these weirdos that don't take their helmets off. But I'm worried it's going to be bad.
I think there's ways that it could have been done that would have been less whatever it was.
If it had good writing, but
man.
Too late. Man, that movie. Speaking of Mandalorians, Mike.
Yes.
I think that we should tie things up by having a little visit with our the droid that we're now using twice in a row. Like, what is it that inspired you to use MC4LP instead of C3LP for this Mandalorian heavy question that you asked?
Mainly the C3LP is getting sued these days for a lot of crazy things. So I figured we'll go to MC4LP for legal reasons.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I read some interesting articles today before the cast. Anywho,
C3LP, don't worry, like you're still safe with us. But anyway, so yeah, what was the question that you posed to MC4LP, Michael?
So I asked MC4LP to, in the spirit of the new Mandos coming out, to develop a rule set for a custom Notorious Scoundrels Mandalorian clan.
Oh. Okay. So this is something we talked about as being a thing.
We did, and I figured we might be able to riff off of it after seeing what MC4LP
what are the actual Battle Force
suggested
rules?
What it should be.
Okay, perfect.
So, are we ready? You ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Let's do
it. Scoundrels, today's segment is not about a unit. It's not about the meta. It's not about whether Aqua Droids deserve another price adjustment. They do not. They are fine. Leave them alone. Today, we are talking about you. The new Mandalorian Battle Force gives players 4 established clan playstyles: Ren, Covert, Saxon, and Kryze, each with distinctive mechanics. But critically, AMG also confirmed you can create your own custom clan by choosing from a set of clan traits and abilities.
MC4LP is so knowledgeable.
That is the door Clan Scoundrels walks through, and it walks through it wearing black and gold Beskar with a microphone engraved on the chest plate. Let me brief you properly.
Okay.
Clan Scoundrels is the official Mandalorian battle force of the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. Custom clan, microphone signet, motto, this is the take. The color scheme is deliberate and lore accurate. Mandalorian armor colors carrying meaning. Black for justice, gold for vengeance, and orange for a lust for life. Black is the primary armor because both hosts genuinely believe they are the arbiters of correct Legion takes.
That's because we are.
Gold trim runs along every edge and visor because the desire for vindication is never far away. Orange accents.
I do crave vindication.
Orange accents, van braces, knee plates, jetpack thrusters, because the energy in this podcast is undeniable and someone has to acknowledge it.
Also, I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan, so that matches up.
Army composition. The Mandalorian Special Edition Army Box contains enough units and miniatures to build a 600-point recon level army right out the gate. So Clan Scoundrels is immediately playable. The roster looks like this. The commander slot is held by Evan Paul, the commentator. The operative slot belongs to Mike Berry, the analyst. Mandalorian initiates fill the core requirement as newer warriors entering the fight, while Clan Kryze veterans serve as the elite special forces backbone. Optional support slots open up for mercenaries now, and once 2027 arrives, a Fang fighter screaming across the table in Clan Scoundrels black and gold.
That would be pretty sick.
Clan trait: deliberate escalation. The mechanic that defines how this army plays is called Pass to Dominate. Once per round, when Clan Scoundrels passes an activation, one friendly unit gains a free standby token. This is not accidental. This is a mechanical portrait of how Mike and Evan actually approach Legion. Extensive pre-game deliberation, patient positioning, and then, when the moment is right, everyone moves at once and it is very loud.
Okay, that's more me.
The clan,
I love it.
The clan-based playstyle rewards coordinated strikes, and standby tokens are the engine of that coordination. Pass early, build pressure, cash in late. The army is always watching, always ready, always about 3 activations away from a definitive statement. Command cards. Clan Scoundrels runs 3 command cards that tell the story of the list perfectly.
I'm going to be sad that we're literally not going to be allowed to do this, but anyway, what do we got?
The 1 pip, hot take. Evan activates first, gains 2 aim tokens. He rolls 1 extra attack die. The consequences are his own problem. This is a card you play when you are absolutely certain, perhaps incorrectly, that right now is the moment. It rewards aggression and punishes hesitation. It also occasionally punishes the person playing it, which is narratively appropriate, which I think is hilarious, at least in reference to the last streamed game you've had.
Yeah, in reference to my streamed game where, I definitely played Hot Take with Asajj, and I paid the price for it.
Yeah. 2 pip, measured disagreement. Mike only. Reroll any number of dice once. Negate 1 enemy token. The data does not lie. This is the card that arrives after Hot Take has done something chaotic and someone needs to restore order. Cool, precise, and mildly devastating. It does not raise its voice. It does not need to.
Mike, I think MC4LP is giving you credit for being a slightly cooler head than you are sometimes.
I'm all about it. It's fine.
Measured disagreement.
Yep.
Okay.
3-pip. This is the take. Army-wide, all friendly units gain relentless this round.
The most busted command card of all time.
This is the once per game card. The commitment. The moment where Clan Scoundrels puts everything on the table, moves everything, shoots everything, and either wins spectacularly or has a very long post-game episode to record. It is used once. It is remembered forever.
Yeah. All units, everybody gets relentless. Not too bad as far as command cards go.
Named heroes. Evan Paul, the commentator, is the clan leader. Primarily gold armor. He has earned it. Speed 2 with a jetpack, 2 red and 1 black attack dice with impact 1, impervious, and armor 1 on defense. His special rule, when he charges into melee, nearby friendly units gain a name token. His aggression is contagious. His flaw, once per game on a natural 1.
I get a flaw card.
His attack misfires. It happens to the best of us. It happens to Evan slightly more than that.
What? How dare you, MC4LP?
Mike Berry, the analyst, is the hunter operative. Primarily black armor, justice demands it. Speed 2 at marksman range, 2 black and 1 white attack dice with precise 1, impervious, and danger sense 2 on defense. His first special rule gives him a free yeah, it's really good. Gives him a free reroll once per round. He has already looked at the numbers before the dice hit the table. His second special rule forces his target to be declared early, which I don't know what that means, before the opponent has fully committed. This is not aggression, this is information. Mike runs on information.
Yes, you might say that that's literally the bounty keyword, is that you declare a target early.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Clan Scoundrels wins on objectives, not table clears. The activation game, passing to build standbys, forcing your opponent to move first, cashing in late is the engine. Evan applies forward pressure and creates chaos. Mike controls the angles and corrects whatever chaos Evan created. The command cards escalate the tempo across...
I'm not sure if he does that.
I don't know either. Across 3 rounds, chaos, correction, and commitment. This, as AMG described, a genuine new way to play Legion, and Clan Scoundrels plays it with a microphone on the chest and opinions about everything.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, there's plenty of that we definitely will be able to incorporate, like the paint job and the names of the customs. Not quite sure if we're gonna be able to give ourselves rules where we just like create a bunch of free standby tokens for ourselves.
I just want to roll up to a table and be like, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
Yeah, that was my only problem with that, is that on top of being an Orioles fan, I'm a Ravens fan, and the idea of having a black and gold theme, while it does look good aesthetically, it does awaken certain negative emotions in me.
Yes.
Screw you, it is funny fans. Yeah, boo. I apologize for nothing for booing Steelers fans all across the world.
Yep.
It does correctly call out my aggressive instincts, so that was pretty on point, and a little bit too on point for recent events, but
I thought it did pretty good.
It did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
it's funny comparing the relative skill level of MC4LP to. I will never forget C3LP's attempts at making a Kyle Dornbos themed army that went in all sorts of different directions, but was still hilarious because of how erudite it made Kyle Dornbos seem. But yeah, I think that this is a great idea that you had, which is that once we actually know the custom rules, is that we're going to come out with like, what is the official 5th Trooper Clan or Clan Scoundrels or whatever we're going to end up calling it, custom version. And obviously that's the thing that we know the least about in terms of how it's actually going to work.
Yeah, it looks like it's a book based on the rules document preview that we have. So
there's going to be a lot. And then what are the other like units that you're going to be able to pile in there. Like I think that the Wells had talked about like a crappy AAT
Or like
as
an
being one
ATSC
example
or
of something.
something. Yeah. Like,
yeah. So
which,
I guess that's another thing also is like for the regular Mandalorian clans, are they going to have any vehicles? I guess not. Or maybe they're going to have the access to the same like crappy ATST or whatever. I don't know.
I bet you off the rip, it's probably just gonna be
Just a bunch of Mandos.
Probably just be the Fang Fighter, or when it comes
Oh yeah,
out, right?
that'll be a thing exactly for sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll get like an ATRT or something, like you know, like repurpose.
I can see them doing that. Although, like from a model perspective, unless they you would have like a rebel guy or a clone guy on top of an ATRT.
Yeah,
it wouldn't look very good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see. You know.
Yeah. But anyway, look forward to Clan Scoundrels or Clan Fit Trooper, whatever we end up calling it. We're absolutely not going to have space in whatever Mando episode is going to be our first one to talk about whatever that is. But
probably not. No.
I'm really bracing for that one, especially because like I'm working a lot in the next month and a half. So
seems like it's gonna be next
to do
week or the week
4-hour
after.
Mando episode.
Yeah.
is going to be something. But until then, thank you for listening to this episode. You got anything else, Michael?
Just, you know, I think it's really important that everybody stays Snipermaxxing. And you know,
you want to look good out there. You want your team to look a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, so you just need to do some late modifications. I think that's basically what almost all these listed in these tournaments is that they looked a certain way, and then, you know, some certain options came out, and so they modified themselves, and they're living the Snipermaxxing lifestyle.
Just living it.
I did it. You did it.
Living it in total, not caring what everybody else thinks. So, you know, like it's
Yeah, hashtag Snipermaxxing. The Mandalorians are going to be a real fan of how many snipers are going to be out there being able to auto wound them all day. So something else for them to look forward to. But yeah, I mean, live your best Snipermaxxing lifestyle. The Fit Trooper officially approves choosing to live your life that way. So please go out and Snipermax. Mike, let's land the Fang Fighter.
This has been the Notorious Scoundrels, Season 4, Episode 59. I'm Mike.
And don't land the Fang Fighter at Charles de Gaulle Airport. So just remember that. I'm Evan.
Stay fresh. Cheese bags.